rebellion against the federal government right now. I don't think there's any question about that. And it's spreading to some other Democrat states. They've got Keith Ellison out there who's very problematic. He's got a lot of baggage. We've got the mayor, got Tim. They're suing the federal government to kick ICE out of their state. They believe that they have some sovereign right as a state, as a city, to create sanctuary for federal fugitives who are wanted by the federal government. You can't do that. You can't all of a sudden say, well, Minneapolis, as well as the state of Minnesota, this is a sanctuary city and we have a sanctuary state for bank robbers or any other federal crime. These are federal crimes, the illegals. They are being arrested by the proper authorities, which are federal agents, and they are not some sovereign country. They're trying to form a new confederacy. So I'd like to ask you all, do you agree that Minnesota, Minneapolis as well as this, I know it's a city in Minnesota, but you've got the mayor of Minneapolis who's so vocal, are they in an open state of rebellion? And if they are, isn't this an insurrection against the federal government, which is what the Democrats spent a lot of time talking about insurrectionists and insurrections, and this is a real one. This is a true insurrection. And what they told us insurrections were, if you remember, insurrections are when you are interrupting government business, correct? Well, what are they doing? They're interrupting government business. They're interrupting federal government business. These ICE agents are there under the direct authority and order of the President of the United States. And, the Democrats, throughout their history, this is not unique to Trump. I know they like to make Trump the villain and try to blame everything on our favorite president, Donald Trump. But the Democrats, throughout their entire history, when they lose, they turn to violence. Even before the Civil War, if you go previous to the Civil War, the 20 years or so before the Civil War, look up bloody Kansas if you're not familiar with it. The Democrats always have turned to violence against the authorities when they were losing power. That's it. And of course, the Civil War was a Democrat insurrection against the federal government. And then they spent 100 years with a reign of terror with the Democrat activist organization known as the KKK. So the Democrat Party, throughout their entire history, have turned to violence when they are losing. And they are losing power. And this is one, in Minnesota, it's at a whole nother level, because it's not just at the party level nationwide they're losing power, but Minnesota, they figure, is a safe blue state, although Mike Lindell is running for governor, and this looks like a good year for a surprise victory in the governor's race with all the scandal that's going on in Minnesota right now. But Mike Lindell could be the governor there, and that would be a wonderful thing. But what has them really freaking out is they're getting their money cut off. They're getting their money cut off. And their attitude, there's no question that this $19 billion in counting fraud that was uncovered, thanks to Nick Shirley's reporting, is fraud. I mean, there's no debating it. And their attitude in Minnesota is, how dare you? How dare you come here and tell us we can't steal money from the federal government? And while the Somali community are the front people that are actually doing the day-to-day work of the largest financial crime in history in Minnesota, this fraud operation that the Somalis are running is really a Democrat operation. The people at the top in the Democrat Party in Minneapolis and Minnesota, they're the ones behind this. The Somalis didn't come over here and plan and put in operation this largest financial fraud in history. This is the Democrats. And the reason Tim Walz was picked to be Kamala's running mate, we can now safely assume, is the Democrats were so excited at how rich the Democrats of Minnesota have gotten off of his fraud operation here. They wanted him as vice president so he could bring this Somali fraud operation to all of the country and really expand their operations, go nationwide. They wanted to start, franchising the Tim Walz fraud machine. And luckily they lost and were defeated by the president and J.D. Vance, and they weren't able to do that. But that's obviously what their plan was. And now we have Keith Ellison, who's got a very troubled past with the mayor, and they're suing the federal government. It's not an invasion because it's all our country, okay? This is how Democrats talked about during the Civil War and before the Civil War, as if their state was their country, right? That's how they're talking. It's like Minnesota, we're the free state of Minnesota. They're acting as if they're an independent nation inside the United States, like they're the Minnesota Republic, and that's just not the case. And with the way that they are acting, I don't think there is any doubt that Minnesota is in a state of rebellion. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm not happy. I'm definitely not happy this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, it's like, you're going to rebel against the president of the United States and his administration for protecting the American people, for getting illegals out, and you think you have some moral authority to stop the president of the United States just because you go to court? Mm-hmm. This is an insurrection. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what this is. And I watched the videos over and over. For Charlemagne God, the mainstream media, you nothing but liars.
Absolutely.
You can't continue. You can't continue online about the truth. A lie is a lie, and you can't make up lies to fit your narrative about the Trump administration. President Trump is doing an awesome job. He's doing exactly what we voted for, and I urge him to continue doing it.
No, yeah.
I urge him to continue doing it.
There's nothing that he is doing that he didn't say he was going to do if he won re-election. And remember, he won the popular vote, so this is what the country wanted.
Exactly. And I support ICE. I support what they done, because when you drive your vehicle, that's a moving target. It's like you have a weapon shooting at the officer. Yeah. That's a moving target, and that weapon can drag him or it can kill him instantly. It ain't no hope when you getting run over.
Yeah, and not exactly. No, you're right. I mean, there's no I agree with everything you're saying, and it's very obvious. What has them really freaked out right now in Minnesota is Trump is cutting off their money, and because they're not getting the money's being cut off. They're really freaking out. They're really panicked.
Oh, yes. It's all about the fraud that they had committed, that they allowed, and I'm not going to say, they didn't know it. No, they knew exactly what they was doing. They helped these Somalians steal money from the taxpayer, and now President Trump is not playing around with that mess.
And not only that, I mean,
they're not playing around.
I really don't even blame the Somalis. What do how can you blame them? Here they are from one of the most poor, primitive countries of the world. They come over here, and the Democrats tell them they're all going to be millionaires. I mean, what do you expect them? What do you expect them to do? I'm not excusing their crimes.
Exactly.
They need to go back to be sent back to Somalia. Right. But this is the Somalis didn't set up this operation. The Democrats did, and you can tell.
No, they did.
You can tell.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I can't understand what people talking about. I'm just gonna be sure. I'm gonna hurry up and get off the phone. But it made me so angry. Last week, and I got attacked at my church, and I'm looking at myself, and I'm saying, I'm a Republican. I'm a Republican that supported Donald Trump. If I sit there and allow you guys to attack me because of who I am, you know what? Beats me. I don't need to be here.
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean you got attacked? What do you mean you got attacked at church? What happened?
I got attacked real bad, and it was so bad that I sat there.
Well, tell us what happened. Tell us what happened.
I verbally sat there and watched this whole congregation call my president of the United States an ICE agent murderer.
In church? During service?
Doing service.
Oh, my goodness. And then what happened? So you spoke, did you speak up or something and they came after you?
I waited till after church was over with, and I said to my pastor, you out of line. You out of line. Don't call the president and the ICE agent murderers.
Yeah.
You need to do your research and stop this. So I walked out and I told him I'm not coming back until you respect the president of the United States. Enough is enough.
Well, that's good.
I had it with that.
Good. Well, I hope you find a new church this Sunday.
Oh, yeah, I will. Trust me, I will. I will not be going back there. No. I want to be around a bunch of black people calling the president of the United States murderers. No.
Yeah. I don't understand. Right. When I go to church, they don't talk about politics. It's about God, Jesus,
I went
the
to
Bible.
Other churches. Right. I go to other churches, but he was reading the scripture. And I believe if you're reading the scripture, don't use that scripture as a way of fighting President Trump. You does it all the time. It's been going on for a year now. When you going to stop doing that and stop listening to, and oh, by the way, I found out what the deal is. He listening to CNN and MSNBC because he's urging us to watch that crazy mess. And I said, no.
Yeah. Do you already have a new church picked out?
Yeah, I have one up the street where I live at Tamarack, because I live between the Turnpike and
is it another? We've ended segregation in our society, except when it comes to churches, right? I mean, churches are so is it a black church or not?
No, it's a mixed church. It's a white pastor. I'd rather go there. Yeah. I don't been in the black churches, and it ain't working for me. And I don't want to be around anybody that speak racist. Because to me, it may not be to everyone else, but to me, black pastors are racist. Most of them, not all, but most of them. I don't want to be around that.
And a lot of them I find are very rich too.
Yeah, they are. They are. So I'm done.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, keep us updated. I'm curious to hear how it goes in the new church.
Okay, man. All right. Thank you.
Take care. Oh, man. Pretty cool. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Sandy from Minneapolis.
Hey, what's up? Oh, my goodness. Ground zero.
You're right.
Boy, so you got some mayor there, Jacob Fry. I mean, he is your mayor is a strange man. He likes to dance to Somali music, and he speaks Somalian. He waves the Somali flag. He's a strange dude.
Tries to gag down.
I don't know where.
Yeah, he's a piece of work.
I don't know where you guys found Jacob Fry. Where'd you find this guy?
I just moved back here in like 2017.
Oh, okay.
So he was already in office when I got in here.
So what's the word on the street? What's the word on the street in your town of Minneapolis regarding ICE and everything? How do the people that you associate with in your personal life, how do they feel about what's happening?
The people that I associate with think it's awesome. They welcome ICE.
Great.
With the thing with Minneapolis, St. Paul and stuff is the Democrats have the big cities locked up.
Yes.
So even if all the Republicans turned out to vote, it wouldn't matter. Plus, there's so much fraud; it's just unbelievable.
Well, that doesn't mean you shouldn't participate because, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, absolutely.
While you may be outnumbered in the big, that's true in most blue states. They got those cities. I get it. But you can get a lot of people elected, Republicans in other parts of the state, to the state legislature and such, and that has a great impact. on stopping the
Right,
Democrats from their
absolutely.
evil doing.
Oh, it's not stopping us from voting, but Waltz just brought in a new voting policy here about a year or so ago called it's the honor system, in which you can register to vote, and then you can like swear for like 8 other people.
I heard that.
That-
But if it's so
that
good,
don't
why
have to show
did he
ID.
drop out?
Because of the fraud. Because he's trying to deal with that. He says he's going to try to stop the fraud, and it's like, come on now. You've had how many years to do it? You haven't done it yet.
I keep expecting to wake up one morning and open up the news and find out that Tim Walz has fled the country back to China.
That's my fear. They need to get his passport away from him because he will flee to China.
Mm-hmm. That may be where his money is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's in so deep with the Chinese, it's not even funny.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've had several farms, a lot of farmland sold to the Chinese here.
Well, he spent a lot of time there.
You know,
he spent a lot of time in China.
Yeah.
And Tiananmen Square and everything else. I mean, he's a very bad man, Tim Walz.
He's an evil person as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
he's about as evil as they get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's bad.
And Fry is just right behind him. This whole deal with the young lady that met her demise.
Renee Good.
Yeah. That just angered me so much. I knew I had called in last week and had discussed with you a little bit about how things were going here, and that was one of my fears, was that somebody was going to end up dead.
Let me ask you, because when I turn on the news, I see the streets are filled with ICE and protesters. You're in Minneapolis. Is it that way throughout the city, or just in like little local areas? Is it? Oh, hold on, I hit the wrong line. Is the area in Minneapolis you're in? Are you seeing ICE around a lot, or protesters, or is that just in some isolated parts of town? Nope, I think I lost her. Hold on, let me try again. Okay, are you back with me? Okay, I lost her. Call from Minneapolis. Who knows? Maybe one of those Antifa grabbed the phone. Who knows? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Doc from Texas.
Hey, Texas.
Hey, man. How are you this morning?
All right.
Okay, it's good. Hey, I was wanting to say something. I was just happening, because I was just having to listen to your show a little bit this morning. And the caller Maria, that's her name.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say something to her. I know she's listening. I understand you like Trump. You agree with all that. Yes, your business. But must remember, Trump doesn't care about you. He doesn't care anything about a black person, a black woman, black man. He doesn't care nothing about us. He doesn't care about you, Brian. Only reason he cares about you because you have your show. And he figures, okay, I can use him to get my stuff out. But he doesn't care nothing about Donald Trump. These billions of dollars he makes every day. That's the only thing he cares about. And the thing that's going on in Minnesota, something is bad going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen to where people are going to have to open up their eyes and realize ICE doesn't care about nothing or no one.
So you think, they just, in some of the more recent arrests in Minnesota, they arrested like rapists and stuff. You don't think I should be going in and arresting these people?
They should go after them, Brian, but do not go after the average person on the street.
They're
Brian.
not going after the average person.
Yeah, they are, Brian. They are, and
No.
I'm not going to argue with you about it.
They're going after
true.
illegal people that are here illegally.
Brian, how do you go after a legal person if you're going to the courthouse? Those people are going to the courthouse for the immigration hearings, and you go and arrest them at the courthouse. How's that right, Brian? How?
Most of the people they're arresting, many of them are violent.
Answer my question. How?
Excuse me.
I understand
You're not my boss. You're not my boss. I'm answering your.
I want you to answer the question.
I am responding.
You didn't answer my.
Excuse me. Don't be so rude. I am responding to the stupidity that you uttered over the phone, but I'm doing it in my way. The people.
Brian, you're not answering my question. You're not answering my
Well,
question.
I know I'm not. I know I'm not. I know I'm not.
I understand that.
I'm not answering because you won't stop talking. You keep interrupting.
Okay, I'm gonna stop talking and answer it.
They're arresting violent people. The ones they're arresting that are not violent mostly are people that did not show up to their court dates. When you don't show up to court, you have a bench warrant.
Brian, I get that. How do you arrest people that are showing up to their court dates, Brian?
They're not arresting people at the courthouse.
Yes, they are.
Excuse me.
They are, Brian.
They're not arresting.
Yes, they are.
Excuse me. They're not arresting people at the courthouse that are showing up to their immigration hearings. They're arresting people.
Yes, they are, Brian.
Excuse me. They're arresting people at the courthouse who are there oftentimes for other crimes they've committed. All right, appreciate the call.
Brian.
We're just going around and around. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
You know, Democrats right now aren't good politically tactical. You know, because I think they want Trump to do two things: declare habeas corpus, suspend habeas corpus in these blue cities and states, and declare an insurrection. They think that those two things will be tactical wins for them.
Yes.
They don't understand that the winds aren't blowing on their side on these two issues.
Mm-hmm. You are 100% correct.
I mean, yeah. So their political tactics aren't going to work the way they think they are.
Yeah, no, they're trying to put. And if you notice, Trump's kind of staying out of it. There's a lot of other things going on. It doesn't mean he's not commenting, but he's not. They're trying to this thing yesterday with Fry and Keith Ellison. They're trying to trigger Trump into making a move like you're talking about. You are correct.
Right, and then you've got the people in Washington State, like that mayor in Washington State.
Uh-huh.
You've got the people in Oregon and the people in California that are doing the same stuff.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think it's back in the back of Trump's mind to do both of these two things, but he's just waiting to pull. He might be waiting to pull the trigger on them.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. All right, Mike, good to talk to you. Thanks for the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Tim from Detroit.
Hey, Detroit.
How do you feel about the immigration? I voted for Trump 3 times. I love the man, the greatest president since I've been alive. But I'm a little concerned about how we're going about getting rid of some of the people or the illegal aliens coming across. Brian, are you for example, I have some Hispanic family lives across the street from me. Now, I don't know if they're illegal or not, but they're great people. They're good people. They go to church.
Yep.
They work hard. Their kids went to school with my kid. Are you for sending those type of people back?
Yes.
I mean, they don't live off the taxpayer or anything.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a legal process. And I mentioned this before. When I first started in radio, when I first started, and I didn't have a lot of experience, and I didn't know anybody, and I was trying to make it. I had a job offer from a radio station in London, England, and I was so excited because I thought this would be a big break, and it was at a big outfit in England. And they couldn't hire me because of the immigration rules. They had to advertise the job, I want to say 3 years. They had to advertise it for 3 years and not be able to find a qualified applicant in England, and there were all these things. Now, it worked out better for me that I didn't get the job because who knows, I may never have come back to America. Maybe it wouldn't have worked out, I don't know. I wouldn't have met my wife, that's for sure. So it worked out better. But I didn't just go and start illegally working. It's a sovereign country, and they have immigration laws. At the time, I was like, oh, well, that sucks. But, so you just can't go to another country and set up a life.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, with what I do now, do you think I could just go to Mexico and set up and start start broadcasting in Mexico and do business in Mexico and all that?
No,
but
you couldn't go to Canada and do that either.
Okay, so why should they be able to come over here and do that?
Well, because our the way our government runs, they're so inefficient.
No, I didn't ask you why they're getting away with it. Why should we be okay with people from other countries illegally coming here, even if they break no other laws, setting up a life?
Well, because we allowed it in the past, right? Remember Reagan? Yeah, hey, give them amnesty and we'll close the.
Well, Reagan made a mistake.
Then Biden allows these people over, and then we turn around and we change the law. I mean, we're just playing with these people.
No, we're not playing. No, we're not playing with it. I'm sorry. They know the risks.
Kinda we are.
No, I mean, how often?
Oh, of course. Listen, I'm confused, man. I don't want us to lose our compassion.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You're gonna deny this. You're gonna deny this, okay? But that's okay. It's expected. Right, you said you voted for Trump 3 times, yet everything I'm hearing out of your mouth is opposing the number one thing on his platform all 3 times he ran. So I find it hard to believe that you truly are a Trump voter. You're going to deny that. But if you feel the way you do about the illegals, you wouldn't be voting for Trump.
Well, I just know that there are really, really good people that have come across that border. And those are the people you don't want to lose. They don't live off the taxpayer. They create jobs. They create wealth. No, they
overcrowd. They take spaces in our classrooms. They take spaces in our hospitals. The ones that don't break the law. They take jobs from Americans and legal immigrants. No, they take a lot. You got to come.
You don't see a problem with this?
No, and back to what I said. You are in opposition of Trump's number one issue, yet you want me to believe that you voted for him 3 times? Come on, that doesn't pass the smile test.
No, Brian, I wouldn't come on your radio show and lie about it.
Oh, no, I know. Nobody would call me and lie.
Brian, please. You're insulting.
Well, why would you vote for him 3 times?
Why would I lie to you?
But why would you, for an agenda, why would you vote for Trump 3 times but find heartless his number one issue, deportation of illegals?
I don't. Our policies, rules, laws, how we used to do immigration is how we should be doing it. If we need teachers,
having no southern border? All right, listen, I got to run, but I appreciate the call. What do you guys think? Did that guy vote for Trump 3 times? What do you guys think? I'm going to call BS on that one. Total BS. If you're on hold, stand by. The radio show will be starting very, very soon. And I'd like to remind you guys, if you'd like to support my content, all of it, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description. If you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to commercial-free editions of all my podcast episodes. You get access to Patreon-only live streams. I do a live stream on the Patreon platform, available only to Patreon supporters. It's a no troll zone, no liberals allowed, and it's a live stream like I'm doing here, but I talk about a lot of things I don't talk about here, and you get a lot of behind the scenes. So if you'd like to support not just my channel but all my content, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description of the video. All right, and I'd appreciate that. And also, another great way you can support all of my content is by going to mypillow.com, using my promo code Kane, and load up on MyPillow products. This early show, I come on 30 to 40 minutes before the radio show every morning. That is brought to you by the next governor of Minnesota, God willing, Mr. Mike Lindell at MyPillow, who sponsors the early pre-show. So go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, and my ability to do the early morning show and have it sponsored by Mike Lindell and MyPillow relies on you using my promo code Kane at checkout. So please go to mypillow.com, and use my promo code KANE, Kane, at checkout. And you can use my promo code on all the specials at mypillow.com. All right, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to get organized here, and we'll start the show. If you're on hold, stand by. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We have, let me see here. What time are we coming on the radio? We have just over 2 minutes till the radio show starts. So I wanted to listen to this. I got to preview this before I play it on the radio. It's Mayor Fry. He likes to use the F word. I got to make sure he doesn't use the F word and that this clip is radio safe. So let's take a look. Hey, Coca-Cola. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. No F-bombs from Mayor Fry, so I can play that on the radio. So I wanted to make sure. You never know, right? And whenever, and I can play anything here online, but we got about 30 seconds, and the radio show will start. I'm going to have to open the show and do a recap of what we're talking about, and then I'll go to the phone. So if you're on hold, stay on hold and lock your place in line. The number, if you'd like to call in, is toll-free. It's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. We got about 15 seconds. Stand by. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. Celebrating 49 years on the radio. This is where MAGA comes to talk, and we've got a lot to cover. Callers already on hold. Stand by. We'll go to the phone shortly. I want to talk about, we have a lot of things we're going to cover today. There's been some big developments with the president in Iran, and a lot of issues I'm going to cover. But I want to start with what's going on in Minnesota, Minneapolis, and Minnesota statewide, right? Right now, this weirdo mayor of Minneapolis, Fry, and Keith Ellison, the Attorney General for the state of Minnesota, are suing the federal government to kick ICE out of their state. And I want to say a few things about this, and then we'll hear from Fry himself, who's just a crazy person, totally insane. I am of the opinion, and I'd like to know if you agree with me, yes or no. Call me and let me know your thoughts on this. I believe that the city of Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota are both in open rebellion against the federal government of the United States, that they are involved in an insurrection, that Minnesota have declared themselves a free, almost like a new confederacy. They're an independent state that are not subject to the rule of law from the federal government. They're in open rebellion. This is an insurrection. what CNN and MSNBC and the Democrats, all these lunatics, what they told us was that if you interrupt government business, you are an insurrectionist. ICE agents are federal agents. The ICE agents deployed throughout Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota are there under the direct orders of the President of the United States, who is the chief executive of the federal government of the United States. And when you are interfering with the work of ICE, you are interfering with government business. By liberal definition, by CNN definition, you are an insurrectionist. There's no question of that. Now, yesterday, Keith Ellison and Fry, they had a press conference, and I've been telling you guys that I think Fry is running for president in his mind. Now, that does not mean that he's going to win, but in his mind, this is his moment to elevate himself beyond municipal politics. Although being the mayor of a corrupt city like this, I imagine, is a profitable thing. He's viewing himself as somebody who's going to be able to run on the national stage. This is Keith Ellison. Then I'll play this weirdo Mayor Fry's comments from yesterday in their press conference. Okay, federal invasion. Now, one thing, Keith Ellison's been on the down low for a few years. He used to be very controversial. He was in Congress, and then he became Attorney General of Minnesota. And remember when he got sworn in, he was the first federal official sworn in, taking his oath of office on the Quran. Remember that? It was a very controversial person. And I remember when Keith Ellison left Washington to be the Attorney General of Minnesota, that seemed like a major step down to me. Now, there are people who leave the House of Representatives to be governors because they want to win a statewide race, and if they win a statewide race as governor, a term or two, they can run for Senate, another statewide race. But to go from the House of Representatives to state Attorney General seemed like a demotion to me. And now I've realized there's more money in it. I wonder if Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, has done a forensic audit of the finances of Keith Ellison and his extended family, all the way to his 18th cousin, 50 times removed. I don't know. I'd be curious. But this Somali $19 billion in fraud, maybe that was part of the motivation to leave the federal government and take this low-profile position and be kind of demoted to become the Attorney General of this state. So then the weirdo mayor of Minneapolis, Fry, gets up after Keith Ellison. Keith Ellison throws him the ball in a very strange exchange. And then listen to what Fry says. Okay, the invasion. So the invaders, according to Keith Ellison and this weirdo Mayor Fry, are the U.S. ICE agents. They're the invaders, not the illegals, not the thieves. Federal government's the invaders. That's who he's referencing. Pretty crazy, huh? He's in bizarro world. Yes, it is. Well, no, we had 2 people convicted by a jury, right, in the Somali fraud operation, and a Clinton judge came in, and Clinton judge tossed out the jury verdict and let him go, remember? Just a couple weeks ago. Well, see, this is an organized RICO case. This is like the mafia of the past, right? The Democrat Party in the state of Minnesota is an organized criminal organization behind the largest financial scandal in history. When you're investigating the mafia, you might pick up a soldier in some crime that you hope to flip on the capo, and then you're trying to get to the boss. And that's what's going on here. The Somalis are the soldiers in this Democrat financial fraud operation, the largest financial scandal in U.S. history. You know what this reminds me of, this press conference? What does anyone remember? What was that that big event that the Italians had on Columbus Day in New York, and the FBI went there and they were able to identify all the heads of the 5 families? Remember that? Remember that? That's kind of what this is. All these Democrats coming out of Minnesota, all of them have the same attitude. How dare you investigate? How dare you investigate this fraud? We're Minnesota. We're Minneapolis. How dare you? If they're not involved in it, they would want the fraud to end. But they're all fighting to keep the fraud going. Now, yesterday morning, I went over and met with Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. Let me tell you, Jamie Levac, he knows taxes. I got to tell you, he's Steve Kane's accountant. He is so smart. We were going over things in the Big Beautiful Bill. The entire tax code has changed with the Big Beautiful Bill. Jamie Levac knows the new tax code inside out, backwards, upside down, and forward. And if you want to get the maximum return that you're entitled to, call Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. And he is good. Oh my goodness. I've talked to so many people already that are using Jamie Levac at Swift Tax for their taxes, and they're blown away. In fact, there's one commercial we're running from one of our listeners, Lewis. Jamie Levac looked back on his past years where his old accountant said he owed money. Not only did he not owe money, he's getting a refund on past years. And Jamie Levac did that. Jamie Levac at Swift Tax can help you with your taxes no matter where you're located in the United States, no matter what state you're in. He's located here in South Florida, and I met with him in his office in Broward County yesterday. But no matter where you are in the United States, he can help you with your taxes. And by the way, not just your federal income taxes and your payroll taxes and your business taxes, but your state taxes. Those of you that live in states with state income tax or city income taxes like in New York City, he can help you with all of that, and he is very, very good. Give him a call. This number rings directly to Jamie Levac's cell phone, so you can call or text 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. That's 954-773-1587. We'll be right back. All right, now if you're on hold, stand by. We're in a radio station break, so we're going to take a quick break and be right back. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. And if you're new and you've never called, or maybe you've been around for a while, you haven't called in a while, call. There's a lot of people on hold, but you're all welcome to call in. Sometimes people think, oh, well, I agree with you, Brian. Again, no, you can call in whether you agree or disagree. We'll be back in about a minute. And the number's toll free, no matter where you are. It's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call. All right, we'll be back shortly. Okay. Let's see. Why isn't that working? All right. Here we go. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. My name is Lynn. I'm from Michigan.
Hey, Lynn.
Hi. I'd like you to explain to me why Pam Bondi, why they didn't clear up the whole J6 right off the bat. To me, that should have been issue number one.
Well, when you say clear it up, what do you mean? I mean, the president...
they're always
the
throwing it at us. Every Democrat. J6.
Well, this is what you got to understand, okay? And those of you that have been listening to me for a long time, the day after January 6th, I said what I'm going to tell you now, okay? So on January 7th, I said this. I was kind of like a futurist, right? Like Isaac Asimov or something. I said, listen, January 6th, the Democrats are going to throw that in our face no matter what for the rest of our lives. It is never going to go away. They forgot about 9/11, and you can tell by all the anti-Semitism, they forgot about the Holocaust. They'll never forget about January 6th. So when I'm 99 years old, taking calls on the air, I'm gonna hear about January 6th. It's never going to go away, and there's nothing that Pam Bondi or President Trump could do that would ever make it go away. The left will never let it go away, ever. And that's just something we got to accept.
But why, they threw innocent people in prison, grandmothers. And I don't understand how, I know they can't go after Walz and throw them in jail or something, but maybe
Tim Walz could very well go to prison over these financial crimes.
I hope so, but it's not looking good, and
I disagree. What do you mean it's not looking good? We have thousands of agents in Minnesota investigating. I'm going to play some clips. Scott Bessett is all over Tim Walz. He was talking about it yesterday. You'll hear later on the program. Tim Walz is in trouble.
Like all this talk, no action.
It's not. No,
I just want to see one person.
It's been 2 weeks. You can't. These.
But I mean.
The Nick Shirley story was this Friday will be 3 weeks. This is the largest financial crime in history. You can't go from a YouTube video and have people in prison 3 weeks later.
I agree, but I just wish this is in my fantasy world. I just wish they would have opened with a banger of, right off the bat. Instead of Epstein, instead of Martin Luther King Jr., all that, just clear J6. Keep hammering it down.
Well, if you remember, the J6, okay, part of the problem is the J6 committee, led by Liz Cheney, okay, they destroyed records about January 6th. So the records that didn't fit their narrative, that showed the truth, they destroyed. And they were all pardoned by the auto pen. So there's the way the way history. This is what you got to understand. Most of our history for the last couple hundred years certainly the last 100, comes from the media. It used to come from newspapers, okay? Newspapers. But now history comes from the mainstream media. And the history of January 6th was written by CNN and MSNBC and the Democrats and all the media coverage. And we're just going to have to accept that. We're never going to have that properly settled. The Democrats will never accept the truth about January 6th, and that's just the way of it. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call. And I told you guys that the day after January 6th. You know? So, you know, that's just the way it is. You know? I wish it wasn't, but, you know, you got to choose your battles, you know, and we got to get into things that we can really do something about and change, and you're never going to change them. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Chris from Pamela.
Chris, it sounds like you got a pillow over your phone.
Oh, really? No, I'm out here just enjoying the rain under the umbrella with my morning tea.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice,
what's on your mind?
Nice fresh morning air.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, like you said, goodness, so much to talk about, so much going on, and you know, I love the way you break it down, especially yesterday. What a show! You know, going back to that Attorney General of Minnesota and of course the mayor. Listen, they're in as much trouble, I'm sure, when it comes down to it, as Walls. You know, all this stuff doesn't go on without them knowing about this money laundering and fraud and everything else. So they're doubling down, just like they did on January 6th, trying to distract and draw attention away, right out of the old book of was it Rules Solomonsky, whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, they're in as much trouble, and it's ridiculous. And you know, again, I love it. Like you asked the one caller the other day, what are you comparing it to? You know, when they try and anything negative against President Trump will do. But listen, President Trump did more in this first year than Biden and Obama combined for their 12 years. I mean, ran circles around.
He did more. He did more than most presidents, including Ronald Reagan, have done in 8 years in the first year of his second term.
Absolutely.
He shut down the drug cartels in the southern border. Think about that. That's amazing.
Exactly. And it's just like the caller you mentioned, you try to downplay everything that President Trump's done. It's just, you ask them a question, they can't answer because anything negative will do for them. They need to get rid of that bias and just wake up. I mean, you talk about the same rules like you were talking about earlier. I wish they did apply the rule of law, this attorney general, or whatever the mayor talks about. This is what we do in America. No, you don't. They're not held accountable. Just like you said, they were tried and released by that Clinton judge. Come on.
Yeah.
They're not. It's convenience, and I'm just tired of it. A lot of people are waking up. There's a lot of people disassociating themselves with the Democrat leadership now. It's not happening fast enough for me, but you see it all over the place, YouTube and everything. And thanks for people like yourself. You put the facts and truth out, but you hear the idiots call in. As soon as you say something factual, they want to distract and talk about something else. Well,
their go-to is Epstein. Anytime they say Epstein, that is their like their escape clause. That's their go-to when they're, you know.
What a great
and I don't know if you guys heard this call in the pre-show. You know, I start the show 30 to 45 minutes early every day on YouTube before the radio show, and I take calls. And this one guy's trying to tell me that he voted for Trump 3 times, but he's opposed to the deportations. I mean, and I said to the guy, I said, well, wait a minute. I said, President Trump's #1 platform issue is deportations for all 3 of his runs. So how could you have voted for him 3 times but be opposed to his #1 issue? He says, well, why would I lie? You know, that's their new thing, right? They're trying to get this narrative going, the seminar callers, of the disgruntled MAGA voter they voted for Trump 3 times, but they've had enough. They can't do it. They can't take it anymore.
Sounds worse than that seminar caller from yesterday that you cleaned this clock. Oh, my goodness.
All right, Chris, I got to run, but I agree with you. You know, I remember when, do any of you guys remember that failed liberal radio network back in the early 2000s, Air America? It had Al Franken, Rachel Maddow, Randy Rhodes, Janine Garofalo, and some other liberal lunatics on there. Air America Radio. And before it went on the air, I made a prediction. I said, because I know how these Democrats operate. I said this was during the height of the war in Iraq, around 04-ish is when Air America Radio went on the air, and it probably failed the next year. But I said, watch. I said every other call is going to be someone who claims to be, because we were in the election between Bush and John Kerry, right? It was when that election was going on. And I said, watch. I said, every other call is going to be someone who tells you they're a Republican. They've been a Republican all their life. They voted for Reagan because this was a long time ago. They voted for George W. Bush in 2000, but he's gone too far now, and I'm voting for John Kerry. You know, remember what the late, great Rush Limbaugh said. Rush Limbaugh was the greatest of all time, next to Steve Kane. But Rush Limbaugh had a lot of great wisdom, and he's missed. And one thing he said quite often, Rush, was the Democrats, they always go back to that same old worn-out playbook. That's right. So these talking points of the disgruntled MAGA voter, they've done this since I've been doing this. I remember those calls. I voted Republican my whole life. My parents voted Republican. I voted for George Bush in 2000. I voted for his dad twice. I voted for Reagan. But I'm not. The Republicans have gone too far now. And I'm voting for John Kerry. It's the same old playbook, just like Rush used to say. All right. If you're on hold, stand by. My name is Brian Craig, and this is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Back after this. All right, we're clear. I'll take a call here during the break. What the heck? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie.
Oh, hey, Richie.
Do I have enough time, Brian?
Yeah, this is the bottom of the hour break. So we're in break. So
okay,
yeah, go on.
Here we go. When I drove a bus, I could remember a passenger. I was always talking to this person. One day he hit me up for money. Can I borrow money? I'm in a tough spot. I'll pay you Friday. I didn't see the guy for 4 months. I felt duped. I'm watching this crap going on in Minnesota right now. And this guy that calls you up with this compassion, don't send anyone back.
Oh, what a bunch of
enough.
BS with that guy.
Enough is enough. These guys are gaslighting America, man. Not for nothing. Jody Ernst it was a red flag, came up with a bill. Ilhan Omar was pushing earmark of $1 million to a drug rehab, three different rehabs up on top of a restaurant. Restaurant.
I saw that.
So it was another $1 million fraud deal. So they don't stop.
Yeah.
And then they get caught with their pants down. They call it chutzpah or gall to sue. You know.
How dare you call us out on fraud? How dare you? Who do you think you are, busting us on fraud?
Yeah, people better open their eyes. This is nothing more than organized crime. Here we go. We have the money, Washington, D.C. We have the representatives and the senators involved, shipping the money off to sanctuary cities where they can have all these fake businesses all over the place. What do they call those organizations that don't pay taxes? They got a name for all of them.
Yeah.
So then they ship the money. And then they start spreading the money out. And then they start importing more people from that same group.
That's right.
Saying we're going to vote for you, and then all the politicians get paid off. Everybody turns the other way and looks up at the sky. They let all this go on and on and on. Meanwhile, the average person. This is only to me, Minnesota is the baby of it all. California with these sanctuary cities. I'd like to know how much these charter flights cost the American taxpayer to fly all these people all over the country into these sanctuary cities. What does it cost? How much did it cost the American taxpayer to put them up in five-star hotels?
Now, I'm going to tell you, Richie, since we're hold on one second here. Since I'm taking this call during a radio break, we're coming back in a minute, so I'll let you go. But you can call back. Richie is the only caller that if he calls me off the radio when we're just on YouTube, like now during the break, you can call back a second time later in the show.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Richie's the only caller that has the golden ticket, by the way. Everybody else, one call per show, whether it's on the radio or on YouTube. We're going to be back in less than a minute. If you're on hold, stand by. And if you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free. It's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. A toll-free call, no matter where you are located. All right. Let's see. Oh, boy. All right. where are we? Okay, stand by. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. This is indeed where MAGA comes to talk. If you're on hold, stand by. Our number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. It's Teresa from Minneapolis, bus driver.
Oh, hey, this is the female version of Richie the bus driver, but Tricia is a bus driver right now in Minneapolis. How's it going?
Good. The weekend went fine. I didn't see anybody on my route. I was doing the orange line on the highway, and downtown people were not. I led on a group of people that had their signs, and they were going to go somewhere. They're going to probably hit another bus line to get down by Portland. But
Yeah.
I watch you on YouTube, and I just heard Richie. Unfortunately, Richie called during the break because his call, I'm like, you go, Richie. Richie is, arrest her. Arrest these people.
Have you now? Let me ask you: as you're driving your bus through Minneapolis, are you seeing ICE officers all over the place?
No, not all over. I saw two units. One for sure was a unit. 2 units, and I didn't see them busting anybody. I didn't see anything. And then like a cop car kind of pulled up to me to the left, and I always look at them and smile and wink at them. You know.
Now, the people that you associate with in your personal life, what's their attitude towards everything that's going on there?
We live here, and we can't believe it. We think that Minnesota's totally fallen. I was born in '69, grew up in Minneapolis, South Minneapolis. We saw the first wave of immigrants come through, and it was like the Hmongs and Vietnamese, Laotians, and then it kind of cooled down for a while.
Yeah.
They came and started businesses and stuff like that. They were kind of overfishing my lake. I grew up a half a block off Lake Tacoma.
You know, I remember when I was a kid, there were a lot of Vietnamese because Vietnam fell. And there were a lot of Vietnamese came, but I remember their parents were always scary because they were so strict. The Vietnamese parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they always, most of the Vietnamese that I knew they were like the Cubans in Miami. They were very entrepreneurial.
Yeah, and they're really nice. I mean, we still have some of the same like old restaurant, Vietnamese restaurants, or we have, any immigrant that's came here from Asia has always been
I love Thai food.
Totally respectful and loves America and Koreans, they're great, but Minnesota has this habit where it's not us people here. Like, okay, my father's immigrant from Norway, came in '56. My grandparents on the other side, so I'm full Norwegian. But a lot of my family still votes D no matter what, and they just have this Trump derangement syndrome.
You know what it is with Minnesota? This is what I don't get with Minnesota. We always talk about the left and the right coast, right? New York and California have always messed up the country. But right in the middle of the country, Minnesota, you have Walter Mondale, Paul Wellstone, Al Franken, these lunatics that are there now. What is it about Minnesota that attracts these liberal Democrat insane people?
I think it's the mentality of it's unions. We're right next to Canada. We have a lot of immigrant populations that are from high trust societies like Norway, Sweden, whatever, that came here.
Unions.
My dad was a barber and a musician. He was like the best accordion player in the state.
I think you hit on it when you said.
I
think you hit on it when you said the labor unions. That's it.
Yeah. The teachers union's huge. They closed the school, right? Well, they want it closed till February 12th because it's dangerous. And then they got all the kids running around in the protest. They got kids, little class clutches of kids walking around in these dangerous rallies.
Well, what they want to do,
pinhead.
They've taken another level. I've seen some videos of this. The protesters are now, some of them are carrying their kids in their arms. They're using their children as shields at the ICE protest.
That's right.
Human
that woman
shields.
there standing there with their baby in pink. Her baby's in a little pink. You couldn't see the baby, but she's holding the pink thing. I'm going, what are you doing? And And the other thing, it's just Minneapolis that's psycho like this. This is like a bunch of psycho white liberal people in Minneapolis that come out and are doing all this stuff. And I almost never see, especially right now, ever see Somalians. They all are holed up, hiding out in that Cedar Riverside apartment complex.
Yeah.
And you barely see them on the street. They'll once in a while be on the street and go to their own little restaurant and grocery store and halal market. And they don't interact with the community at all. And now the streets are barren. You don't ever see any Somalians. I drive by that freaking Leering Center.
Really? You drive by the Leering Center?
I do. I saw the sign was changed last weekend to Learning Center, and then all of a sudden there was a bunch of cars parked in the parking lot, and there wasn't before. And just 2 days ago when I drove by it, there was some people walking in and out, and of course there's Somalian people. Like you don't see,
Yeah.
You don't see anyone
well, listen,
else.
I got to move on, but I appreciate the call. Call me again, all right?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, she's a bus driver in Minneapolis. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, we're very popular with bus drivers on this program. Well, let me take another call or two. What the heck? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Kenny, Palm Beach.
Hey, Kenny, what's up?
How you doing?
All right.
I don't know. Everything you have to qualify what you see on the internet, of course, but I saw videos of millions of dollars of cash leaving our country that was, I guess, recorded by TSA.
There were some Somalis.
Somalia.
There were Somalis at the airport busted with $700,000 in cash in suitcases. Yeah, that they didn't declare.
Right. So,
they didn't declare either.
Well, I think Scott Bessent said that he is not allowing any money to leave the U.S.
He said that if you receive government assistance and you wire money outside of the country, your federal assistance is instantly, automatically, through the computers, cut off.
So I guess that wouldn't qualify as government assistance if it's money from daycare centers.
No, you can have you could have they're receiving Medicaid money to fund it. No. And don't be so sure that because they own a Leering Center that they're not getting food stamps and other welfare. They could be, don't be surprised.
I caught that Leering Center. Yeah. I don't know. It seems like we're getting played for suckers, but hopefully, we'll get to the bottom of some of this fraud.
Scott Bessent is all over this. Coming up, Scott Bessent did a real amazing interview. I'm going to play a couple clips of it, him talking about it. Scott Bessent is all over this. They're investigating big time. Believe me, they're getting to the bottom of this. And it looks like all eyes from Scott Bessent are on Tim Walz.
Well, I'll be glad to see him go, and it sounds like it's going to be any day now because he's stepping down. But that doesn't exclude him from any prosecutions.
No, he's in big trouble. They really need to take his passport. Not that you need it. If the CCP pick him up to take him back home to China, he won't need a passport to enter the country. They can put him on one of those balloons that Biden let fly over the country. One of those CCP balloons might pick up Tim Walz and carry him off to Canada.
That's a funny picture in my mind.
It is. That'd be a good meme, wouldn't it?
Yeah. All right. Well, you have a great day, and just thought I'd put in my 2 cents.
All right. Well, you put in more than that, okay? All right. Now, the great Bill O'Reilly was commenting on this on News Nation last night. Check this out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm so glad to hear Bill O'Reilly with that because I got another clip of him coming up a little bit later in the show. Bill O'Reilly regularly talks to the president. He's a confidant of the president. The president calls him to ask his advice. So if Bill O'Reilly is calling Minnesota an open rebellion, which is an insurrection against the federal government, that's where the president's mind is at. And so I'm very glad to hear Bill O'Reilly say that because I know that the president, that's how he's viewing it, and that's how he's telling his cabinet to handle it as an open rebellion because that's exactly what it is. If you're on hold, stand by. You know, I went out the house today to get coffee, and what was it was raining. That's right. And you know, if you've got a wet spot on your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof. You want to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Tom Laporta covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between, and he's a good MAGA guy who will never sell you a roof you do not need. And what that means is if you need just a simple repair, he'll do it. Now, if you need a new roof, he'll do that too. But he won't sell you a roof you do not need. I've never heard a roofer other than Tom Laporta ever make that claim because, well, they all want to sell you a new roof, even if you don't need it. Not Tom Laporta. And I've seen so much of his work, not just with Steve Kane's roof, but many of our listeners. He does incredible work. And on our MAGA cruises, a lot of the guys on the MAGA cruises, they spend half the cruise telling me about the great job that Tom Laporta did on their new roof. He does incredible work. He's an artisan. Call Tom Laporta. Now remember, Tom Laporta is not just a roofer. He's a contractor. And under Florida law, that allows him to deal directly with your insurance company on the cost of the replacement or the repair of your roof. He can handle the job of any size, and he works on every type of structure, residential, commercial, and municipal. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone. Call or text 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. We'll be right back. I had another... I can find this. I had another clip of Bill O'Reilly I wanted to share. All right, stand by, guys. We are going to be, if you're on hold, stand by. We're going to be back in less than a minute. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll free. It's listed in the live chat. And if you guys could do me a favor, if you're new, please subscribe. And everyone, if you could please like the video. And also, if you could take the link and share the link to the program on all your social media and invite your friends to check the program out, that would be awesome. You know, you guys are the marketing team, okay, and of the program. And I know a lot of you do that, and it's greatly appreciated. We'll be back in less than 20 seconds. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Call us on hold, stand by. Yeah, I had the second clip of Bill O'Reilly that's on a second, it's on another topic. I was going to play it later, but I want to play it now because I just shared the Bill O'Reilly clip. And this involves what's going on in Iran. And I'm sure you've seen in the news, they're going to hang a protester publicly in Iran. Now, I've seen videos of them murdering people in the streets, but they're going to hang someone and they're going to televise it. And the president told Iran if they act out against these protesters that there will be military intervention. And he is doing some things with tariffs. He's told countries, any country that does business with Iran is going to get a 25% tariff put on them on all products. But Bill O'Reilly, this is what I mean. He has the ear of President Trump, and it's a good ear. He's a good person to have his ear because Bill O'Reilly is, I wouldn't say that I've always agreed with him, although I can't think of anything offhand that I've disagreed with him on, but I'm sure there's been something over the years when he was doing his show on Fox. But Bill O'Reilly is a very smart guy. He is very wise. He went to that Kennedy school and all that. He is a very smart guy and a great person to be an advisor to the president. But he was on News Nation. It was in the same interview from that clip I played before the break. And this is Bill O'Reilly talking about his conversation with the president about the president getting involved militarily in Iran. Okay, now that's something. So he's told the president, intervene if you can tip it in the favor of the protesters and overthrow the mullahs. Very wise advice. And, you know, the military in Iran, these defections from the military, it's not like here. You know, here we have a chain of command. So if someone out of protest resigns their commission, somebody just gets promoted, right? It's not that way in Iran, because in Iran, even in the military, they're ruled by terror from the top down. So when you start losing sergeants, lieutenants, captains, colonels, and things like that in the army, they start to lose the ability to be a functioning military. So these military defections, I don't know how big the military defections are. I've heard that too. I haven't heard any confirmations on, you know, the size and the scope of it. I don't know, and I don't know how much we can trust everything that's being said. But everything that I'm seeing out of Iran it's an absolute miracle. And I'm glad to hear when Bill O'Reilly says he thinks that the Islamic Republic is going to fall. Again, that comes from the president. He's in the loop. So he's not just a pundit giving his opinion based on nothing. He's a pundit, I guess, because he's a guest on that program on News Nation, but he's giving an informed opinion that, and my guess would be, my guess would be because the president relies on him for his advice, he probably gets some classified intel brief of some sort, whether it's from the president or somebody else, so that when the president asks him his opinion, it's an informed, educated opinion. So for Bill O'Reilly to say that lends a lot of credibility to it, don't you think? Yeah, absolutely. And let's hope that they fall. You know, Iran has been responsible for so much of the trouble that we've had to deal with over the last 40 years. And if Iran were to fall, it could be chaotic. And when these governments fall, it's never perfect, and there's always issues that are going on, but it will be a good thing. Now, I was talking earlier, Scott Bessent, who's just an amazing Secretary of Treasury. It's interesting that he's the one who's taking the lead on the investigation into all the fraud in Minnesota. And, the thing about the fraud in Minnesota, it's criminal, and it makes sense that the Treasury Department's involved because these are financial crimes, but they have financial crime divisions at the Justice Department, and Pam Bondi is out of sight. I don't think I've seen anything with Pam Bondi involving the Minnesota fraud whatsoever, or Kash Patel for that matter. There's a lot of reporting that says that the president's going to fire Pam Bondi. I don't believe anything at that level that I read out of the press until I hear the president post it on True Social or say it himself. You can't ever trust these things. And the original source for that is, is it the Wall Street Journal? It might be the Wall Street Journal. But I'd have to hear the president. And he may have made a decision, President Trump, not to fire Pam Bondi, but to sideline her, let her handle the regular criminals, because he's obviously frustrated with her. She hasn't done anything that we expected. We thought we'd have Comey and Brennan and everything else on trial by now. But he may have decided to leave her in place and just kind of bypass her. They got this new deputy attorney position that they've created, and I think they've just bypassed it. And it's very interesting, with all the criminal activity in Minnesota, it's the Treasury Department and Homeland Security that are handling everything. Now, that doesn't mean that the FBI is not there assisting and doing some things, but it seems like Pam Bondi has been completely sidelined. And maybe it's a better thing, because if he were to fire her, she could end up being a regular pundit on all the shows, trashing him. And, it could cause a scandal in a midterm election year that we don't need. So I kind of like the idea of her being sidelined. If the president fires her, he fires her. I believe me, no one's more frustrated than I am with Pam Bondi. This is not what we expected. The lawfare people have not been brought to justice, and I don't think we can ever count on her doing it. But here's I'll play a couple clips from Scott Bessent. This is from The Blaze. Okay, now he's talking about the Somali fraud there. And the interesting thing about Scott Bessent, and this is very relevant, mind you, okay? Very relevant. Him being openly gay. I can remember a gay conservative was like such a rarity. Every few years we'd get one on the phone. They'd say they're gay and they're a Republican. You'd be like, what? And, like with black Republicans, gay Republicans, they're very common now. I mean, and this is all because of Trump coming down the escalator. But it's being gay, you wouldn't even know he's gay, unless people like me keep mentioning it all the time. But it's important. It's important. And a lot of times you would have people that are gay or black or another victim group that the liberals love, that would be all of a sudden become a conservative, but they'd still be liberal if you really talk to them. We used to run into that a lot. But Scott Bessent, he is a true conservative. There's no questioning his conservatism. And, for him to be gay, Republican, incredibly conservative, and agree with the president on everything is really an amazing thing. But then he went on to talk about Ellison and some of the others. And believe me, there's a lot of people in Minnesota that are in a panic over Scott Bessent. Yeah. Wow. I mean, this aren't you glad that he's the one that's on the case and not Pam Bondi? Like, where's the clip of him talking about Tim? Okay, here's the one. Okay, here is. Do I have time? Yeah, I've got time. This is the last one, I think. This is Scott Bassett. He's talking about Tim Walz here. Listen to this. Tim Walz is shaking in his boots. Mm-hmm. Wow. So Scott Bassett is all over Tim Walz. This is great. Yeah, I think I would say right now 60% chance of a Tim Walz arrest and prosecution. Do you guys agree with that? We're coming up on the top of the hour. My name is Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. That's right, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll take our break for the top of the hour, be back with your calls, and there's a lot more to cover. Don't go anywhere. Back after this. All right, let's see here, guys. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be back in less than 2 minutes. Let me just check something here. I'm still getting organized. All right. If you're on hold, stand by. We've got about a minute, and we'll be back. Oh, man. What a day. Show's flying. We're 90 minutes in already. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. And guys, please do me the favor of taking the link to the program and sharing it on your social media and inviting your friends to check out the show. That's how we grow. Great word of mouth advertising. That's right. And I do appreciate that. I know a lot of you have been taking the link and sharing on your social, because I get that data from YouTube, and I appreciate all of you that do that. And if you could continue to do that, you would be helping me out a lot. All right, we've got about 30 seconds, and we'll be back. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. All right, we're back. The 7 o'clock hour has begun. If you're on hold, stand by. I want to bring up something off the politics, but very, very important. You know, Scott Adams, a lot of people know Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, and he's a well-known conservative mind. He announced this week he has been moved to hospice, and the final days are here. And Scott Adams, pretty popular, pretty amazing. And what he says are his final days, although hopefully there'll be some divine intervention, and this is just the beginning of a new life. Hopefully he'll recover, but he's being moved to hospice. And he has been an atheist, and that's changed. Listen to this. This is a message that Scott Adams posted online. And I got to tell you, if I had a few days left and I'm in hospice, I don't know if I'd be broadcasting, but Scott Adams hasn't stopped. But maybe the videos that he's been doing, Scott Adams, are keeping him alive longer. Maybe it's giving him something extra. But here he is talking about coming to Jesus. Yeah. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Wow. So Scott Adams is going to accept Jesus and become a Christian. And I hope he does it soon because he doesn't sound well and he is being moved to hospice. And the reason I share that is because it's not just saving himself. I'm hoping he'll be an inspiration to others. You know, there's so many godless people. They're mostly on the left, but there's so many godless people in this society today. You know, this socialism, communism, democratic socialism cover for communism that's going on. You know, a big part of that is atheism. You know, the communists, the socialists, they don't like religion at all, especially Christianity, because there's a moral code that is in conflict with their socialist, communist ideology. They want the government to be the leader, the moral leader. But I'm so glad that he is becoming, or has by now maybe, a Christian, has accepted Jesus. And hopefully he'll be an inspiration to many more, and they will do the same. All right, let's go to the phones. The number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Charlie from Palm City, Florida.
Hey, Charlie in Palm City. What's up?
Hey, good morning.
Hey.
I was hearing about the Monroe Doctrine. So in regard to Greenland, I think it was 1823, James Monroe, that any land should be in the Western Hemisphere, should be in our control, America's control.
Yeah, the Monroe Doctrine, I think it was 1823, and it was I guess they used to teach us about the Monroe Doctrine nonstop in school in this country, but they don't, you know, they don't teach that anymore probably. But he said it in a State of the Union, but when the president says something, it becomes policy. And it's been policy for 3 years now, and it's what President Kennedy used during the Cuban Missile Crisis for the blockade around Cuba to stop the missiles there from the Soviets. And it's what the president cited as a reason to remove Maduro in Venezuela a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so the Monroe Doctrine is still U.S. policy.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I was talking about this. Yeah, I was talking about this yesterday, and I learned a little bit of geography. I did not know that Greenland was part of North America.
Yeah, and we have troops on that property, that island, that wetland.
Yep.
And we also have a space force there. So we're already there. So welcome to America.
The Monroe Doctrine, what you're saying is so true. The Monroe Doctrine says that no foreign country can have a foothold, a colony, or any control in the Western Hemisphere. Greenland, if it's part of North America, is the Western Hemisphere. Greenland has no claim to, Denmark has no claim to Greenland under U.S. policy.
There you go.
So, sorry.
So, God bless America.
That's right. Sorry, Denmark. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Oh, hey, Doug.
You know, I rarely listen to Laura Ingraham, but last night I turned it on for a little bit, and she's saying that, the regime change in Iran, but America has a bad history of regime changes. Well, I said two things to myself. I said, number one, we never had President Trump, the smartest president of all time, running things. And number two, when you have a country that says death to America all the time, funds terrorism, kills their own people, I don't think we can do any worse than what we got there. So I'm hoping President Trump will get a regime change in Iran and help people.
There's the thing, okay? The Shah was put in power through a CIA coup in the 50s. Okay?
Yeah.
So we did regime change in the... I can't remember who ran it before. And everything went well until Jimmy Carter messed things up. But President Trump has done something that the other presidents didn't do. He's made friends. We're friends with Saudi Arabia, Syria, Iraq, right? All these countries, there's all these Muslim countries that we now are friends with and and have a strong relationship with. It's positive. And there's others too, Jordan, all these countries. And they're doing very well, these other countries in the Middle East, and Iran causes them a lot of grief. So with this regime change, whatever happens, and by the way, I'm sure we have CIA over there that's egging this on a little bit, but this is mostly a coup of Iranians themselves. Not that they're not getting help from us, because the president's getting the internet back with Elon Musk and Starlink for him. But we've got friends and allies all around the region that are going to be backing a new government in Iran. Now, I don't know if it's going to be the son of the Shah that I see on Fox. I saw him on with, I think, Bartiromo interviewed the son of the Shah who would be the Shah if the Shah came back. I don't know if they're going to put that guy in power. I don't know who's going to be in power.
Well, back when the show was in, it was like a little America almost. Everybody was dressed regular. There all this heavy religious Muslim idea over there. I don't think the people want that, and I'm sure the people that they're killing. What they kill, like 300 people the other day.
Exactly.
I mean, there's something seriously wrong there, and how much can the people take? So
exactly.
I think it's time. I think it's time to be a very nice thing for the world if they get a new administration there and not have this dumb regime. Anyway, I think it's going to happen, and I'm hoping
that doesn't mean, like, if this regime falls, it doesn't mean it's going to be peaceful. There's a lot of people over there that are probably hardliners and brainwashed. Who knows what will happen? But it'll be better than this.
Well, I think the majority will certainly.
And President Trump has a personal interest in Iran because the Iranians are been after him ever since he took out Soleimani. And as long as we have the Islamic Republic of Iran, he's going to have to be looking over his shoulder at Iranians forever.
It's amazing. It's like in America, we have these dumb people causing it's like an insurrection going on in the country. Mm-hmm. Pretty much, there's always going to be those people in Iran who hate America because that's like you said, they're brainwashed. Correct. But the majority, I think, are like Americans. They want to have a nice country, freedom to do what they want to do, and we'll soon see. Hopefully it'll change. I can't see how it could be any worse. We got to get rid of this.
No doubt.
Get rid of this.
All right, Doug, I got to run, but appreciate the call, all right? Now, do you or someone you know suffer from neuropathy? Call Lighthouse Medical. Lighthouse Medical is located in Pompano, but they can help you through telemedicine or Zoom, no matter where you are located. They have a treatment for neuropathy that works. All those symptoms of neuropathy, numbness, pain, burning, tingling in your hands and feet, muscle weakness, dizziness, falling down all the time, the feeling of pins and needles in the hands and feet, no feeling at all. Steve Kane had his neuropathy treatment with Lighthouse Medical 3.5 years ago. He saw immediate relief from his symptoms. They completely rid him of his neuropathy symptoms, and 3.5 years later, still, he is free of all of the symptoms of neuropathy. So they have a treatment for neuropathy that works and it lasts. Call them for your no-charge consultation. Lighthouse Medical is 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. We'll be right back. All right, we'll be back shortly. If you're on hold, stand by. Let's see here. We'll be back in about 90 seconds. I'll take some more calls. I've got some more things to share and a lot to cover. Oh my goodness, a lot to cover. Yeah, if you want to call in, the number's toll free. It's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. That's right. Oh man. Okay, about a minute and we'll be back. Perfect. Oh, that's awesome. All right, 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. Welcome, one and all. Callers on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. Just a word of caution. You know, there's going to be a lot of anti-ICE protest around the country. You know, in Boca on Saturday, there was a big one. They say 500 people showed up. And lunatics, okay, Democrats, listen, don't go to these. Don't go to these. Stay away from the anti-ICE protest. The anti-ICE protests are honey traps. They want MAGA people to go there and get in a confrontation. Don't do it. There was a confrontation at the one in Boca over the weekend. There was a guy who said he was a firefighter, most out of shape firefighter I'd ever seen, and a guy knocked his helmet off his head and he got arrested. This is what they want. They want to instigate. So if you hear about, because people ask me about these things sometimes, or sometimes they'll DM me and say, oh, there's this protest. I told this to people during the Tesla protest and the No Kings. And I know some of you may say, well, you go, Brian. Well, I go to cover it, and I do go to these things sometimes. I did not go to the anti-ICE protest on Saturday. But, I've gone to the Tesla protest, the No Kings. I have a history of going to protest and covering them. But it's part of my job is to cover these things. But I don't always go to them because there's been some time I've had bad things happen at some of these things, and I'm pretty smart on how to handle myself, But stay away from the anti-ICE protest. If you go and they know that you're MAGA, they're going to try to get you to act out. And don't put it past them to create the incident. They even got an ICE officer, out there in Minneapolis, this Renee Good thing that we've been talking about. So don't go. All right, now, believe me, there's going to be more, and that goes for the upcoming No Kings. Do not go to any of these things because the Democrats are getting desperate right now. Right? They are desperate. One of the reasons they're so desperate right now in Minnesota, it's not the typical desperation that the Democrat Party is fading away from existence and relevancy. What's going on in Minnesota is their money's getting cut off. So that's what has them melting down. And I wanted to play, this is the Lieutenant Governor, I want to play this, of Minnesota, who's running for the United States Senate seat in Minnesota. She, a week or two ago, made a video where she was in a hijab with some Somali people. Here she is talking about the Lincoln Riley Act. Okay, the Lincoln Riley Act. You know, Lincoln Riley, she was murdered by an illegal from Venezuela, and he was trying to rape her. She stopped him from raping her, but she lost her life. And, you know, I've mentioned many times, when I was a kid, there was a friend of mine who was murdered by 2 illegals here in Florida, in Belglade. It's something that's been going on forever. And before the Lincoln Riley Act, nobody came in and did anything about it. Nothing. And, you know, this lieutenant governor who's running for Senate in Minnesota, it's so bizarre to me that these Democrat women parade around thinking they're feminist. And believe it or not, they think that they are feminists who fight for women's rights. The only right they fight for is the right to have an abortion. Here we have women, not just American women, also Latin American women, who are being victimized and raped multiple times on these walking caravans to America. They get brought into this country and put into sexual servitude, which is sex slavery. And they're defending the animals that are doing this, including the Maryland man who was working as a human trafficker, transporting illegals across the country. That's where we got that video from the Tennessee Highway Patrol? He was trafficking humans there. That's slave trafficking. These people, they are not what they think they are. And it's really a shame. And you think about poor Lincoln Riley, young girl going to school to be a nurse. Her whole life was taken from her. Her parents will never have grandkids. She'll never have kids, never got to marry, everything. And she's not alone. There's many others. And to see a female self-appointed feminist tell you that law was a bad law. It was a law to punish people that are committing the worst crimes you can commit. Murder and sexual assault. It doesn't get worse than that. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. How you doing? This is Ronnie Dick W. from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Hey, West Palm.
How's
what's up?
everything?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. A question. I came in on the tail end of the gentleman that you was referencing. He was an atheist, I do believe you said.
Scott Adams. I think he was an atheist. He accepted Jesus in hospice, so I'm just assuming he's an atheist. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's been like that all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was he an atheist all his life like that?
I don't know his whole bio, but he was not a believer in Jesus. He wasn't a believer in Christianity, and now he is.
Okay.
That he's on his deathbed.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty profound thing to look at. I look at it. Well, nobody really connects the dots, but I look at it like this here. The Lord will hold you for what you have done, all of us, not just him, but all of us. And the thing is, the most profound thing that he said, you cannot deny his existence. Now, if this gentleman denied his existence the whole time and now he's on his deathbed seeking forgiveness, that's great. That's good. I praise to my Father Almighty that he allows him in.
Absolutely.
But can he clean up the damage he has done to make other people believe in what he has done, what he's believed? See what I'm saying?
Oh, you mean like if he was? Well, I mean, look at Paul. Paul, people can have conversions and do terrible things and become Christians. I mean,
but that's true. But Paul was converted at a stage where he was able to do stuff. You see what I'm saying?
But Scott Adams is famous. He's the creator of the Dilbert cartoon. So he's famous.
Mm-hmm.
He put this video up, and how many people have heard it, right? I mean, I played it. Many people are going to hear it. Heard it on the radio, online. There are other people like me that are sharing this online. Millions of people. And Greg Gutfeld on the 5 is a big fan of his. He's a big fan of Scott Adams. So I expect Gutfeld on the 5 to point this out. Millions of people are going to be exposed to this. So So think about all the good work that Scott Adams is doing by putting out that video. He's sharing it with millions of people.
If you can make what you have done righteous before you leave this earth, like as long as you're breathing and you can help somebody come across over to what is reality, because two things are guaranteed to us. We're going to live and die. Number one, we fight to come into this world. And number two, we fight to stay into this world. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's by what we do will allow us to be where we are going to be, because this is not our home. A lot of people don't believe that, but this is not our home.
You know, with Christianity, I mean, it's not for us to say who's going to go to heaven, but
no, I'm not saying that. I'm
up against the clock, but so just for the break, so I got to be quick. But I want to say this: it's not just a deathbed confession. You know, you got to do more than say you believe and truly believe. You got to do some good works too.
That's all I'm just getting to. Yeah, you're right.
And Scott Adams, I know a lot of Christians may not believe that, but it's good. It's both. Scott Adams has done a lot of good works by, on his deathbed, on his way to hospice, putting out this video that he's accepted Jesus and that he hopes to wake up in heaven, and exposing millions upon millions of people. Even this discussion you and I are having are inspired by it, is Scott Adams' good work. And there's one person that I want to become a Christian so bad in this country. You know who it is? Bill Maher. Bill Maher, he made a movie about the atheism, religiously something, I forget. But he's on the cusp of coming out of the closet as a conservative, and that's. And my wife prays for Bill Maher all the time, that she would. If Bill Maher became a Christian, he'd save so many people. I don't know if it's possible being out there in Hollywood.
It's the leaders. It's our leaders that are going to be really held accountable for where they lead the people.
That's right. Listen, I got to run. I'm late, but appreciate the call. All right, take care. Now, I was talking to someone I'm very close to yesterday about Jupiter Joe Thomas, and I was talking to someone in my family that is retiring, and we were talking about, how they're going to pay their bills and everything else. And I was talking to them about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities, how they could get into an annuity and have guaranteed income coming in every month for the rest of their life. And they were shocked to learn how annuities work. So I'm going to set up a meeting with them, with Jupiter Joe Thomas. Annuities it is really, truly life-changing to people. I have talked to many of our listeners who have become clients of Joe Thomas, and I always ask them, what motivated them to call and get an annuity. Every single one of them has told me the guaranteed income for life every month, and their principal is still there. Every single person. Give Joe Thomas a call. No matter where you're located, his office is in Jupiter. You can take advantage of his free consultation in his office in Jupiter, but you don't have to go to Jupiter. No matter where you're located, you can take advantage of the free consultation over the phone or through Zoom. Give him a call. This is Joe's number, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. If you missed the number, go to his website. It's there. Easy to remember. JupiterJoe.com. That's JupiterJoe.com. We'll be right back. All right. Oh, boy, great calls today, guys. I must say, very high quality calls, which is always a good thing. If you're on hold, stand by. That's okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Oh boy, we're going to be back quick. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. I must say the calls today have been spectacular, so keep it coming, guys. If you're on hold, stand by. I wanted to share this. Greg Bovino, the Border Patrol commander, who's a really super cool guy. You see these videos of Greg Bovino on X? He's out there, and it's so interesting. You know, you got Tom Homan, we got Bovino. The Trump administration, such a difference between conservatives under Trump and all these other people with these other agencies. Every day, Bovino, he's not just there on the front lines where these deportations are happening. He's there where the protesters are. And I see a lot of videos that these anti-ICE protesters put on social media, and they're screaming obscenities at Bovino, and he starts talking to them. He's not afraid. You know, we got Tom Homan out there. I was talking earlier, Scott Bessett from Treasury, Christino, except for the Justice Department. Everyone else in the Trump administration at other levels, they don't spend much time in Washington. They're out there on the front lines doing stuff. Scott Bessett wanted to do that interview in the Minnesota State House where I played those clips from the Blaze. And Tim Walz wouldn't provide security for the Secretary of Treasury to be there. Can you imagine? If that's not open rebellion, and there's, a big difference between Republicans and Democrats is at least the age of Republicans we have now. These are not just conservative MAGA Republicans, they are working government officials. Usually the people that hold these offices, they never leave the office. They stay in Washington, they go to their dinner parties, they come out for a press conference. If there's some big bust, they'll get on their private plane and fly there and hog all the glory at a press conference. But you look at President Trump's number one issue is the border, immigration, deportation, and all the people that are the leaders of the government agencies handling that are on the front lines at the scene. And Bovino was on with Martha McCallum yesterday. So this is from Fox. This is the Border Patrol Chief Bovino with Martha McCallum. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the reason you have so many of these, these are the worst types of criminals. Murder's the worst that someone can do, obviously, right? But these other ones, they're doing some terrible things too, as you can see. And the reason that there's so many of them here is simple. the way things worked before Trump and between the two terms, you say you're undocumented, so you enter the country illegally, you have no documents. So what happens? Basically, it's the equivalent of the witness protection program. They give you a new name. The name is whatever you tell them your name is. You're also as old as you say you are, right? And they give you everything. They give you driver's licenses. They give you other documents so that you can get social welfare and everything. And boom, you're in the witness protection program with a whole new identity. And you're a criminal in your nation of origin. And criminals, especially the perverts, what do? They reoffend. And it's like in the old days of the Wild West, when the posses were coming after the train robbers, they'd go to Mexico. Now the opposite is true. They come from south of the border, from south of our border to the northern border for them, and they get set up in a whole new life. And what these idiotic moron protesters are doing in Minneapolis, these paid agitators, these brainwashed college people that are go to college to be they teach you to be an activist, not to learn anything. They're really aiding and abetting the worst of the worst types of criminals to flee. Right? They see ICE, they follow them around, they honk their horns, they blow their whistles. It's hard for them to the ICE agents, unless they're in an unmarked vehicle, and even then it's difficult. I got a guy. I have a lot of cops that live in my development, and some of them, they all have take-home cars, and some of them have the unmarked vehicles. You can tell a cop car, even if it's unmarked, a mile away. I don't know what it is about. They have the dark tinted windows, or those little tiny funny hubcaps or something. You can always tell, and when you get close, you can see what's on the dashboard. So they get behind these ICE officers. They start blowing the horns on the cars, their whistles, they're shouting and everything else. And these sex offenders and killers and everything else that Bovino and his guys are after, they're alerted and they run. They know the cops are coming. They can't sneak up on them. And even if they're in a deep sleep with the whistles and the horns honking, they're letting them go. And they're letting the worst of the worst go to do what? To go, escape and go and reoffend and commit assaults on other women and children. For the life of me, I just don't get it. Bill O'Reilly was talking about there was a rebellion during the Vietnam War with the Vietnam War protest that was similar. Yeah, but, and that was bad, okay? The Vietnam War protests were bad. This is worse because we're living through it now. But at the time, even though I wasn't alive for most of it, and the little that was left when I was alive, I was in diapers, while they were helping the communists in Southeast Asia and Vietnam with some of their rhetoric, they weren't helping people here on the streets of America like these people are doing. We didn't have Vietnamese rapists, drug traffickers, and murderers throughout the streets of major American cities that were being alerted by the Vietnam War protesters. Those were mostly draft protests, if you think about it. So this is what these protesters are doing is 100% criminal. You could not go around alerting criminals. I remember once, a couple years back, I come home from the radio station, and I pull into my development, and there were cops, weapons drawn. There were 5, 6, 7 cops lined up, one behind the other, walking down the sidewalk on the first street in my development. And they had a no-knock warrant for somebody on the street in my development. And I came to find, because I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a cop that lives on that street, and they told him what happened. This loser kid in his 20s was living with his mom, and he was dealing drugs. And his mom turned him in. She couldn't get him under control. And what would have happened if I would have gotten in front of that house and started honking my horn, alerting that guy that the cops were down the street with their no-knock warrant, with their guns drawn? You know what would have happened? I would have gotten arrested. And it would have been the right thing for them to arrest me because I'm obstructing justice. And by the way, all these liberal ladies running around, They're stalking these ICE officers. Stalking is a serious crime. You know, I've been stalked by listeners in this audience more times than I can remember. And being stalked is scary and destructive. They're stalking these officers around the city. They're alerting violent felons that they have warrants for, that Johnny Law's getting ready to come in with his no-knock warrant. And if that's not obstruction of justice, I don't know what is. They certainly could be arrested and charged with these things. And since these are federal agents, it's got to be a federal crime. I want to talk about the new offer from Sloman. Sloman's Home Security is offering a free home security system with free professional installation and 24/7 central station monitoring. You get all that for just $24.95 a month for 5 years. All you got to do is call 833-283-5050. It's a free home security system and free professional installation, absolutely free. Your Sloman's Home Security System includes a touchscreen keypad, 3 door or window sensors, a motion detector, notifications, and remote keypad access so you can check in no matter where you are in the world. Give them a call right now, 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. We'll be right back. Okay, hold on, guys. I'm gonna.
Your call has been forwarded to...
Oh, no. Hold on. I got to call back. Oh, no.
Your call has been forwarded.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. I was just talking to Tom Laporta during the break. We were texting from Laporta Roofing. And he was talking about the flashing of the lights, right? I was mentioning this the other day on the program, and I don't see people do this so much anymore. But in the when I first started driving in high school, you would be driving down. This was mostly on the turnpike here in Florida because the Highway Patrol would set up speed traps. And you would be driving north or south. People coming the opposite direction would blink their lights at you. And that meant that Highway Patrol was up ahead with a speed trap and you'd slow down. Well, at some point, that's illegal in Florida. They passed a law that making that illegal in the state of Florida because you are obstructing justice. I don't know what the penalty is, and I haven't heard it talked about. I remember when it first became law. It was in the news a lot and people were talking about it. And it was a long time ago. And come to think of it, I don't see that too much anymore. The people blinking the lights for the speed trap up ahead. When I used to drive to the Keys, I'd see this a lot when I would drive down 75 to Homestead and all of that to the Keys back in the 80s and the 90s. But people don't do that so much anymore because it's illegal. And alerting the cops is illegal. You're obstructing justice. Absolutely. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is Bill from Sanford, Florida.
Hey, Bill in Sanford. What's up?
Well, you mentioned earlier about this guy caught at the airport with $700,000 in a suitcase full of cash.
Yeah.
Number one comment is how many didn't go out of the country that were still here. And the other thing is, I believe Scott Bessett's going to be the hero. I think he is going to, his forensic audit is going to find a common denominator throughout all the states that are doing this and how they're laundering the money. Because how in the world can all these states have the same amount of billions of dollars go out and nobody say anything?
Well, they give the money. What happens is there's a money laundering operation. But let me tell you, this guy Scott Bessett is so. You know, the thing about President Trump, the people he hires are very successful. Like is Scott Bessett a billionaire? Or a millionaire? You know, he's very successful, very financially successful. He's very smart. And, you know, so he knows how these things operate. The Democrats, when Democrats put people in to be they're academics. They're not like working, successful financial people for the most part. There's some exceptions, like Robert Reich with Clinton and stuff, and you know, and stuff like that. But this is or not Robert Reich. Who was Clinton's Treasury Secretary? He was a friend of Steve's. Remember Rick Seiderman on the radio? His cousin was the Secretary of Treasury under Clinton. I can't remember his name. But anyway, they mostly hire academics that don't know how to do anything. That's why they're academics. And President Trump brings in people that actually are competent. So Scott Bessett is all over Minnesota, and he's pissed off at Tim Walz.
Well, I bet he's all over all of them too.
Robert Rubin. That was the name. That Robert Rubin was the name I was trying to think of. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but all these other states are doing it, and there has to be. They're slipping by, and I think Scott Bessett's going to find out how they launder this money, because you just can't take. You know, I remember if you deposit over $10,000 in the bank wants to know, where did you get it? Even as a business, where did you get it in the closing business? And we have to tell them. But then is there any trail about if you take out of, if you withdraw $500,000, $100,000?
Oh, sure. Yeah, there will be. Everything's computerized. You know, these Somalis that got busted at the airport with $700,000 in cash. To me, that's an act of desperation. They were afraid to do an electronic transfer because of Scott Bessett, so they tried to walk out with the money, and they got caught because security is so tight at airports now. That was an act of desperation.
Well, I just know that Bessett's going to find the answer. I have all the trust in him and Trump and his administration.
And he's tough. You know, Scott Bessett is the one that got into the physical altercation with Elon Musk.
Oh yeah.
So he's a tough guy. I wouldn't mess with Scott Bessett.
Didn't they sort of make up?
I don't know. You don't want to get beaten up by a gay guy though. That could do something to Elon's ego. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world, and he gets beaten up by a gay guy. That's got to.
Well, I have hope. Put it that way. I have hope that this is going to come out.
Didn't Elon have a black eye? And he said his son did it. Yeah.
He was worried. Well, because he was wearing those dark glasses, you couldn't tell. But
yeah.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, Trump's going to be on it, and Bassett's going to be on it.
Well, it does look like Pam Bondi's completely sidelined.
Well, I'm confused on Pam Bondi. I really am. You know, there's a grand jury supposed to be going on in Fort Pierce in the next few days.
A grand jury was impaneled. I don't know if it was impaneled or ordered by the court yesterday in Fort Pierce, and it's a grand jury for Crossfire Hurricane and the break-in of Mar-a-Lago. And those of you in the listening audience that are in Fort Pierce, that's in our coverage area with our new radio stations, St. Lucie County. This is where Judge Cannon's courtroom is, and they got the conviction of the Trump assassin recently. That is the jury pool for the grand jury in Fort Pierce is the most MAGA jury pool that you could pull from?
Well, if what's going to happen, hopefully, in this grand jury, I hope that's where Pam Bondi has been doing all her work for Crossfire Hurricane and Mar-a-Lago and everything in between. I pray that's
I do too, but I see no indications of anything from Pam Bondi. But I don't, I hope you're right.
She can't say what she's doing. That's the problem.
Or she's got nothing to say because she's doing nothing.
But Trump still wants her in, so I'll stay with Trump on this.
All right, Sanford, Florida. Appreciate the call. Take care. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right. You missed your chance. If you're on hold, hang in there. This is Rokahana. What kind of name is Rokahana? Rokahana, he's talking about the ICE agents. Oh. Jasmine Crockett and I have a bill. You don't have to say anything past that, Rokahana. Oh. You know, the thing about the Democrats, they're always looking for a martyr, and they think they have one with Renee Good. They're trying to turn her into the new George Floyd. You know, it's not going to work this time. You're not going to be able to they think they can rally behind a martyr. Say her name, Renee Good, like Breonna Taylor. You know, even with Breonna Taylor, I don't know why they had to do a no-knock warrant in that apartment building. Couldn't they have nabbed the boyfriend in the parking lot or something? I don't know. You had a case there you could argue and say, okay, Breonna Taylor, did they really have to do the no-knock? You know, maybe not. This was clear, and everybody's seen it. And so far as the conditions in these ICE facilities, if they're so abusive, ICE, why are they letting a government official, a member of the Congress, in there to see the worst of the worst? They could make it so that they didn't see anything bad. I question everything. The moment you say that you've got a bill that you partnered up with Jasmine Crockett, you've lost all credibility. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Rich.
Oh,
you
hey,
know,
Richard.
not for nothing. The United Negro Fund used to have a message out: a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Yes.
This Rokahana is just in a suit, a progressive communist from I believe India or Pakistan, and because he's got this smooth way of talking, he's full of crap.
Yes.
He's such a progressive garbage. This is a ruination of the country. What you see in this suit on the air right now is the biggest phony you ever saw in your life. They're all phonies. They live like multimillionaires, and they tell little people how to live. They're full of crap. I'm sorry to say that. And you know, not for nothing, this whole thing is just a big scam on America. Any Democrat that calls in to defend any of these people, all of a sudden he's worried about the conditions of the detainees in California. How about the conditions of the people in the streets on drugs and with the needles all over?
How about the condition of Lincoln Riley? How about her condition, Rokahana?
Yeah, all of that. These are phonies. These are California phony. And he comes, Crockett, this racist. What are we putting in Congress, folks? We have to look at ourselves to see that we put these people in Congress manipulating people that are full of garbage. This guy's a manipulator. I see his face. I see him get on all these talk shows.
It shows, but
he's a
they're
strict talker.
at least they're letting the American people know who their constituents are. Illegals.
Oh
you don't hear the Democrats do anything to outreach to non-illegals. When's the last time you heard a Democrat advocate for an American?
Never.
Not anymore.
Never.
No.
I mean, when was the last time Ro Khanna went down the streets of L.A. looking at the homeless tent and the Americans on the street that are on drugs and everything else? Now, he's worried about these immigrants in detention. You know why? Because he's a phony.
That's right.
Total phony.
All right, Richard, I got to run.
They,
Thanks for the call. Now, guys, this is the year. You're going to keep your New Year's resolution to lose that weight with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. With Coastal Weight Loss Secret, losing weight, it is so easy. I dropped 21 pounds plus in just less than 3 weeks. I lost 25 pounds after 3 weeks. And then I lost a total of 37 pounds. And it was, boom, easy, just like that. You know, here's the best part. There's no pills, no injections, no surgery, no working out. You'll never feel hungry. I ate foods I would normally eat. And this is important because, you know, I don't know, for a few months I've been in the maintain phase now. And I didn't even gain weight during Thanksgiving and the Christmas season. And I love Christmas and Thanksgiving food like every other person in our great country. I didn't gain any weight back. And the maintain phase is so easy because there's not big lifestyle changes with Coastal Weight Loss Secret to lose the weight. Give them a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. Coastal Weight Loss Secret can help you no matter where you are located. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlosssecret.com. We'll take our break for the top and be back with Steve Kane and more right after this.
Hey, Brian.
Hey there.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Here you go, Stephen. Here you go.
Hello.
Hey, Steve, hold on. I got to put you on hold for a minute, okay? Hold on.
Okay.
Your call has been forwarded to...
All right, you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Okay, hold on. All right. Did you have somewhere you wanted to go, or?
No, I'll just throw in. I'd like to, there is somewhere I'd like to go. I'd like to talk about what's going on with Iran.
Yeah, okay. That sounds good.
You got anything to start that off?
Uh-huh.
That's the big story.
Okay. All right, the 8 o'clock hour has begun. I'm Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. There's a lot of good things going on in the world, but Iran.
Are you counting Iran as good or bad?
Long-term good, but if you're that protester, they're going to hang publicly today. It's not a good day for you. But Iran has made a big mistake. I played a clip earlier. I'll just tell you about it. Bill O'Reilly is an advisor to President Trump. And
right.
and he had and President Trump called him. He was on TV last night. Bill O'Reilly. He said President Trump called him, I guess, over the weekend, maybe yesterday. He was unclear when, but he was on News Nation last night, so it could have been yesterday.
Well, that's a good advisor. I've got confidence in O'Reilly.
And he asked O'Reilly's opinion on him intervening militarily in Iran, supporting the protesters, and Bill O'Reilly gave him very good advice. I thought it was very good advice. Bill O'Reilly.
What did he say?
He said he thinks that the Ayatollahs are going to fall. He said intervene only if it's going to tip the balance in favor of the protesters and cause the fall. If it's not going to change anything that's going on over there, don't do it. So
yeah, but I mean, I don't consider that shocking advice. That seems to me to be fairly obvious.
No, it depends. They've got
But they're going to fall. It's just a question of when.
Well, but is it going to be now or is it going to be in 2082? You know what I mean? I mean, you could.
Is that going to be with or without U.S. involvement?
Well, President Trump did one thing yesterday that's a pretty powerful move. He by the way, he signed an executive order making English the official language just to tick off the liberals a little bit more.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
They hate that one.
Yes.
But
that's the best.
But another thing President Trump did is he said that any country that does business with Iran will have a 25% tariff on all products across the board. So that's
that was a good one.
That's better than a regular sanction. You know, these other presidents do sanctions and they're meaningless, right? But that's a real sanction because these other countries don't want that 25% tariff, and I'm assuming that's on top of whatever tariffs they have now. I don't know.
Well, I perused the Post this morning. There didn't seem to be any updates on it. But I think I think Congress is getting. Don't you think Congress is getting a little overly tough with our president?
Yeah.
Last time they had a vote, they reined him in. I think there was 14 votes, Republicans voting against our president.
Yeah. But,
I mean, what's he going to do with that?
Well, they're many hours ahead of us in Iran, but I haven't seen anything that this has happened yet. But President Trump told Iran that if they act out against the protesters, he's going to do something, and they're not going to like it. And we just took out that reactor.
Well, but this is the problem. He's been saying this for a while now. And the last couple of things he said, he's promised he was going to, I think it actually was on Iran. He made a statement that if they killed any citizens, he was going to, take a big chunk out of the Iranian side, the mullahs, and they went on a killing spree, and he didn't do anything.
Well, today, this public hanging of a protester, which I'm assuming means on television. I don't know if they'll do it in a cell or out in the street, but that's really.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, they've got one. They're going to do a public hanging of a male demonstrator today. And
this is the mullahs?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll check right now while we're talking to see if it's happened yet. No, it's has not happened yet. But if they do that, and they said they're going to do it today, Trump's got to respond to that, right? I mean, everybody's going to see that.
You would think. Mm-hmm. You would think, but he's been doing a lot of threatening lately with
I don't know about that.
movement.
It takes a few minutes, a few days maybe to get things in order. Remember, after they got Maduro in Venezuela a week and a half ago, remember Marco Rubio said this president says what he means and means what he says, and he's a president of action and will do what he says he's going to do. And with Maduro, it took them, if you remember, they had to wait a couple of weeks for the weather to be right. So, and when the weather was right, they went in. So there's got to be proper conditions for whatever they're going to do in Iran. But if they go forward with this public execution, there will be a meaningful response from Trump. It may not be.
They say was it an American? They say
no, but it's still a protester. I've seen the videos of them shooting them dead in the street. I mean, these guys. I mean, there's these Iranians. But Bill O'Reilly said that there's been some people have left the military and joined the protesters, which is unheard of in Iran. So things are going well. But a public hanging.
Not for the guy they arrested.
No, not for the guy that's getting hung today. And I'm not trying to be funny about that. I mean, because that's just god awful and terrible. You know.
Well, but the conflict between the president and that soft bloc in Congress that didn't vote him, but didn't support him in that last vote, that's real. And it really changes a major part of the dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's going to have to be a little more careful now, and that's not his natural inclination.
No, but, you know, I'll say that if the hanging goes through today, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't, because they've been promoting it, you know, and they're very far ahead of us. So it could happen any minute. If it happens, then during the show, I'll let you know. Hopefully it doesn't happen at all, but don't mistake, if there's not an immediate response from the United States, don't mistake that as inaction. Whatever response they're going to do, they have to do it right. You know, this thing with the weather they were waiting for in Venezuela probably had something to do with that new space-age laser beam heat weapon or whatever the heck that was that they used. We took out like 40 guys with this weapon doing nothing. You know, they've got these special space, so maybe, you know, they may have to wait a few days or maybe a week or two before the conditions are right for whatever move they're going to make. But I totally expect President Trump to do what he says he's going to do, because if he doesn't respond after the public hanging, they're going to lose fear of him, and it's going to get worse for the dissidents.
That would be my thought. That would be my thought.
I mean, but they are out of, the Iranians are crazy. They're
fanatics.
Yeah, they are. But it's sad what's going on, but hopefully it ends well in the end. You know, we'll see.
Well, as long as you're living in the United States, it's going to end well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, listen, if you'd like to call in and share your thoughts, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. And the other place where things are getting really hot is in Minnesota, because Minnesota is in open insurrection against the federal government right now. And I have so much confidence in Scott Bessent, who's taking the lead in the investigation of the fraud. In particular, he's focusing in a lot on Tim Walz. And Tim Walz really acted out against Scott Bessent yesterday. And Scott Bessent did an interview with The Blaze, and they were supposed to, and it was in Minnesota. And the interview was scheduled to be inside the Minnesota State House. And it was going to be Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, with The Blaze. And Tim Walz refused to provide security for the Secretary of the Treasury to be in the Capitol building. So they couldn't do it there. They had to do it at another location. You know, with these guys have been so caught with their hand in the cookie jar, why push the buttons of the guy investigating you in the largest financial crime in history? I mean, that was just such a stupid move of Tim Walz.
It depends I wouldn't say that. Depends on how much evidence they've got and how much they're going to be covering up. I mean, you don't want to sit down with an ace investor. I just woke up. You'll have to forgive me. An ace investigator. You don't want to sit down and get involved in something where you look bad.
That's true.
Especially with an audience on the other
That's true.
size.
Well, listen, we're going to take a break, so I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. We'll come back with some calls, all right? So you hold on. The caller's on hold. You hang in there. You know, I was over at my mom's house over the weekend, and she was telling me how happy she was that I went and got my heart scan and cancer screening at Life Imaging FLA. You know, everyone in my family, my mother, my daughter, my wife, my in-laws, all thought that I was going to have a heart attack because I have a lifetime history of very high cholesterol. They've been wanting me to get checked out for years. And like a lot of guys, I avoided it because, you know, out of sight, out of mind, right? And I went over to Life Imaging FLA. I had the scan, I had the heart scan, I had the cancer screening, no cancer, no growths, and no plaque and no blockage in my heart. And it just didn't give me peace of mind. It took a big weight off the back of my mom, my wife, my daughter, and all my in-laws, and mine too. Listen, you know, that peace of mind is life-changing. And since I got this great information from Life Imaging FLA, my life has been a lot better because I'm doing things that I would not normally do. As an example, we decorated the house for Christmas. We got the lights all over the place. I'm up on the ladder. The sun's out. It's Florida. It's hot in the wintertime. And the heat's getting to me. Before I had the scan, I would have not finished. I'd have gotten off and said, the heat's getting to me. I'm afraid I'm going to have a heart attack. Now I know, no plaque buildup, no blockage. It's okay. It's just hot outside. You know, and what happens is when you think that, you got anxiety, right? And that's and I don't have that anxiety anymore. Call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan now with a few minimum requirements valued at $699. From your cell phone, call pound 250 and say the keyword free heart scan. That's pound 250. Just say free heart scan and you'll be connected in seconds. They have locations in Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach County. Again, from your cell phone, call pound 250, say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. We'll be right back. Oh, okay. Jamie, you there? Jamie.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello?
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Oh. Steve, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, we got about a minute. Hold on. I'm just... Okay. Okay. One minute.
Okay.
All right, here we go. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. All right, you want to go to the phone, Steve?
Yes,
All right.
It's just getting interesting here.
Okay, just now? I mean, we're like almost 3
No, I'm
hours into
talking
the
about
show.
that. I'm talking. No, you took that wrong. No, I'm talking about the discussion of Iran.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the previous couple of hours. Now it's getting interesting.
No, I listened to the whole thing. You were sounding real good today.
Oh, okay. Just today? Okay, hold on. See, I could
Forever and ever.
I could take any compliment and turn it into a slight. People that know me will tell
Yes, you can.
Hey, you got to have some hang-ups, or you don't have an interesting personality on the air, right? Okay.
Exactly.
Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Rebecca from Plantation. How are you?
Rebecca in
Hello,
Plantation.
Rebecca.
What's up?
I have 2 points. The first one is easy. The second one, you might disagree with me a little bit. So how do these Somalians get to Minnesota? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. How do they get to Minnesota?
Okay. How do they get to Minnesota illegally? They're on the other side of the world. How did they get there? So many, and they're illegal.
Barack
do you have any
Obama.
idea how that happened?
Yes, because they control the means of of all the internal means. They own the. What am I trying to say?
Well, I
Brian?
can give you a more direct answer. Benny Johnson did an incredible piece a couple weeks ago on the history of Somalians in America. Do you know how many Somalians?
It's a culture of corruption.
Do you know how many Somalians were in America in 1993? What do you think?
How many?
Not that many.
1,200.
I'm sure.
1,200. 1,200. So we had 8 years of Clinton, but the Somalians were brought here by the country load by Barack Obama.
Barack.
Yeah.
But how does that make them illegal though? That's what I'm saying. He didn't make them legal when they came in.
Some of them are legal. They decide. Somalia is like a prehistoric country. I like what President Trump's description was the best. It's not a country. It's just a place where people are walking around killing each other, right? But it's prehistoric.
Right.
So what Obama did was declare it. Everyone from Somalia is a refugee and gets refugee status. Like they just started killing each other.
Totally get that. So how illegal? How are there so many illegal Somalians? They're not crossing the border.
Yeah. There were a lot that were coming in. Yeah, there were a lot that were crossing the border illegally. Not all of them have the legal status, correct. Yeah, there's a lot of them that are illegal.
Okay, so now, because they're protesting in Minnesota that they're capturing all these Somalians, ICE is capturing them, but I don't think there's that many illegal
there's a lot of
Somalians.
Illegal.
I don't think so.
No, there's two things. There's a lot of illegal Somalians there, and there's also a lot of illegal Hispanics there. If you look at the ICE arrest, most of them are Hispanic. But what they're talking about with the Somalians, they're because they've committed these massive financial crimes, their naturalized citizenship can be revoked, and they can be deported.
Okay.
They used to do that to the mobsters.
Okay.
They used to deport the mobsters back to Italy. Back in the day. Yeah, they can.
No,
do that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think it's disgusting what's happening in this country right now with the media and all of these people when you have the same exact thing, even worse, happening before with both Clinton and with Obama deporting all these people and nobody said anything. And it's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first point. My second point, you might disagree with me, but that poor gentleman that I listened to this morning that you referenced, I know he voted for Trump. His issue was not that you deport illegals. That wasn't his issue. He was trying to be compassionate and say, listen, I know that there's illegals here that committed like really bad crimes, and then you have these other illegals that have incorporated themselves into society and they have families and everything. I have a hard time seeing them be deported, and I get where you're coming from, that they're here illegally, but at the same time...
Let me see if I can help here. The problem is that they control the government. They control the means of getting made. I'm really not here this morning. Yeah, but it's they're all in the payoff, and they're all getting the profit.
No, they're not. Don't make a general statement like that. No, they are not. I know a lot of people that are here working.
This is the thing, Rebecca. Okay, are you Cuban American?
Yes, I am,
okay.
and I'm also a citizen. I came when I was 4.
Yeah, because you're a naturalized citizen and all of that, and you relate to a lot of these people because you're in the Spanish-speaking world too, so you connect with a lot of the people, and I get it, and if you got somebody that's a law-abiding citizen other than their legal status and they've been living a good life, it can be sad, But I don't, what are you gonna do?
And I understand what you're saying, but you gave this guy. You made him look like he's a liar.
No,
and
he
that's
was
what
a
I was
liar.
calling about.
He was a liar.
I don't think he's a liar.
Okay, let me tell you what,
Steve,
I got a call from this guy, early in the show. He said he voted for Trump 3 times, but he doesn't like them. He doesn't like the deportations of people that aren't violent criminals. And that is the number one thing on Trump's agenda is deportations. And I didn't believe the guy.
I don't think so. I don't agree. His whole point was, I'm going to get the criminals out of here. That's what he was saying. And everybody was like, okay.
He said first. We're going to start with the violent criminals first, is what he said. Then we'll move on to the non-violent ones.
Well, that's what, but I know he voted for Trump. He's a nice man. Don't say that things about him.
I'd forgotten about him.
You.
All right, take care. No, I don't believe that guy. He called in. He voted. This is a long. I was talking about this, Steve. Okay, so this guy calls in. He said he voted for Trump 3 times, but he's got some bones to pick. So I said, well, pick the biggest one. And he talked about the deportations of nonviolent illegals. And I said, well, I question whether you voted for him 3 times then, because that's the number one thing in his platform: close the border, deportations. So if that's your biggest gripe, how can you really truly have voted for him for 3 times? It doesn't make sense. And I was talking about Democrat callers have a long history of saying they're lifelong Republicans who voted for Republicans, but whatever is the big issue of the day has finally woken them up, and they'll no longer vote Republican, right? We used to hear this with Bush, used to hear it with Reagan, both Bushes, and no, that's a new tactic to you guys, but it's an old tactic for us. Steve, can we talk a little bit about Wings Plus in Coral Springs?
Oh, yeah. I can always talk about Wings Plus, that's for sure.
Yeah, most of the time, Steve and I, we're in different locations and stuff, but from time to time we have to get together, and we usually meet at Wings Plus. When we have to get together after the show or something.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
I go on weekends a lot because again we were winding down towards the end of the season, which is Super Bowl. But it's a great place to watch sporting events, and a lot of people do. It's where the politically elite meet.
Yeah.
And we've been eating it. What did we figure the last time? Over 20 years.
I remember they catered. We did an all-night, like 12-hour broadcast during the 2010 election, and they catered it. So that was 16 years ago, and they were with us before that. So yeah, about 20 years. And I was eating there before they were a sponsor on the radio station. They're very good. Wings Plus, nothing comes out of a can. Everything's homemade, including the delicious sauces and all the wings. They're located in Coral Springs, about a mile west of University Drive, on the south side of Sample Road. When you stop in, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show. All right, we'll be right back. All right, I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. Hold on. Okay. All right. You there, Steve?
Yes.
Okay.
Having a little problem with my voice here.
Well, so am I. I've been talking. You know, I've been fixing updating all our spots, and the breaks are their proper times. I've been making them all 30s and 60s. So
that's what you got to do.
The break times are much shorter now. Okay, hold on. Okay, we got about 90 seconds. We got about 90 seconds, a little left. About a minute.
Good.
Oh, man. Okay, 30 seconds.
Okay. More.
Wait, Steve, hold on. No. We'll come back. All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here. Let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Adam from New York.
Hey, New York.
Hey, good morning, Brian. I don't know if you saw the head coach, Steve Kerr, from the Golden State Warriors. He said some negative stuff. I believe it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
What did he say?
Take a look at it.
You want to tell us, since we're on the radio, and that's what we're doing?
Yeah, tell us, what did he say?
What did he say?
If you give me a second, I'll tell you. He is anti-Trump, and that basically it was like, this is, I'm sorry, I'm on a speakerphone.
I can hear you. It's fine.
Okay.
You're doing good. Keep going.
Basically, Trump was...
watch your language.
He like anti-Trump this and anti-Trump that. And so I looked him up over, and he's not even an American citizen. He was born in Lebanon, Beirut, Lebanon.
You know, I'll tell you, a lot of these people that are celebrities, like the guy that hosts Jeopardy, the new Jeopardy. Well, I guess he's not new. He's been there for a few years. But the guy that hosts Jeopardy went on some anti-Trump rant on Blue Sky. You know, I mean, it's America. Yeah. People got the right to their opinions and to share them, but there's consequences to it. And you turn people, you know, when you're in sports are one of the things that are supposed to unite us, and people that are, high profile in sports should really keep their politics to themselves. They really should. And entertainers like the host of Jeopardy. But I'll tell you what, Steve, I'm so glad the Dolphins fired their head coach that wears those skinny pants. You know, I'm glad. Hopefully we'll get a coach for the Dolphins that's wears men's clothes.
I know who you're talking about.
I couldn't stand that, the way that guy dressed. It just, I know I'm not a big sports guy, but, when Don Shula would go out there, he's wearing slacks, nice dress shoes, and a Dolphins, polo shirt. You got some class, right? I understand it's the Florida sun, and you don't want to wear a suit and tie like they do up north in the old days, but the skinny pants, it doesn't, when I think of a head coach for a football team, especially a pro team, it's somebody tough, not a guy wearing those skinny pants, but that's just me.
It seemed like back in the 80s, there were men playing, they were grown-ups, Men. Today we got a bunch of kids, playing. And even Tom Brady, he acts goofy. He acts like a kid. when he's when he's doing the sports broadcasting. To me, they seem like they're not grown ups.
Tell you, what we used to have that we're lacking in so many places are men. The host of Jeopardy, by the way, is Scott Jennings. Not to be confused with the Jennings that's on CNN, who's very good conservative, who kicks butt over there all the time. He's going to pay a price for that because people, his Blue Sky is a social media platform for liberals. It's a liberal echo chamber, and it's gone mainstream. And he's got one of the best jobs in the world hosting a game show, Jeopardy. They work a couple months a year. He makes a few $1 million doing it. So they're probably recorded way in advance. But the outrage from his, he's talking about saying terrible things about President Trump. Ken Jennings is the one that's on. I got my Jennings mixed up. Ken Jennings is the one on Jeopardy, and Scott Jennings is the one on CNN. I always get them confused. But the Jennings from Jeopardy, he's going to pay a price for that because people are pissed. Because this isn't your typical advocating for liberal ideas, right? Vote for Hillary. It is, they're advocating for the worst of the worst. I played this clip earlier of Bovino, the Border Patrol chief. And in Minneapolis, they arrested just like yesterday 4 sex offenders and an opium dealer. I didn't even know opium was still a thing. So Ken Jennings and this coach you're talking about and these other liberals, they're activists for the worst types of criminals you can be: murderers and sex offenders, and also the thieves, like these thieves in Minnesota, and people are ticked off about it. Mark Ruffalo, the actor, he played the Incredible Hulk in the Marvel
movie. I saw that last night.
Yeah.
I saw Ruffalo on.
He's wearing a button on his tuxedo, and for Renee Good from Minneapolis.
He was making major speeches against Trump.
Yeah.
He's a real activist.
And a real something else too. There aren't.
And he doesn't have the talent to back it up. That's the sad part.
Other than those Incredible Hulk things, I don't know what he's been in. Do you?
Nothing that I can think of that's major.
But what I was thinking with Mark Ruffalo, he's on the red carpet. He was nominated for a Golden Globe, which I'm assuming he didn't win because it would have been part of the story. Golden Globe winner, Mark Ruffalo trashes Trump, but he was, he's advocating for the illegals on the red carpet. And if I were on the red carpet, my question to Mark Ruffalo is, how many undocumented workers worked on the Marvel movies that you were Incredible Hulk in? Because you can't be undocumented. To empty out the garbage cans on a movie set, you got to be in a union. How mighty kind of him to advocate illegals to take other people's jobs, but he works on a union set. He's a union guy. Their jobs are not in jeopardy, and I don't even think that occurs to them.
No, once you're a star, the rules don't apply to you once you're a star.
But is Mark Ruffalo really a star? What's he done other than Hulk? Can you think? Incredible
Well,
Hulk?
the strange thing is, in his small circle of Trump fanatics, he's a star.
Trump hateful fanatics, the Trump haters, the Trump derangement syndrome people.
Yeah.
And he looked like. All right, caller, I appreciate it. All right.
Hey, thank you guys. Have a good day.
All right, good call. If you're on hold, hang in there. But that's the thing. When you're an actor, the days of people, there aren't movie stars anymore, right? People don't care. People barely cared what actors thought years ago. Now they don't really care because there aren't stars anymore. And if you're an entertainer, when it comes to politics, why would you go out and alienate at least 50% of your audience? Probably a little bit more in this day and age. It's
the answer is because you believe what you're saying. In the case of the pro-Trump people, John Voight is a good example. John Voight. Now, would you consider John Voight a star?
Oh yes, he's a movie star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's a big political activist, and he's on the right side.
But he's semi-retired. I know he still works all the time, but he's already made. You know what I mean? It's not like these other guys that are. You know, it's a little.
I saw him last week in Anaconda.
Oh,
boy, what a great villain he was!
That's his greatest movie, Anaconda.
With that sneer on his face is the greatest thing.
We used to have him on the show from time to time, John Voight. We had him on many times on the show.
I remember.
Did you see this? Did you see this video of Sylvester Stallone in Publix?
No,
oh
I
my
guess
goodness!
not.
It was I was in Fort Lauderdale yesterday because I went over. I met with Jamie Levack of Swift Tax, and I was driving.
Yeah.
I was driving down Sunrise Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale, and I went by that movie theater, the Gateway, Gate Gateway. They're playing Rocky.
Yes.
Rocky's playing. I guess it's the 50th anniversary, so they're playing Rocky. I was shocked. But anyway, I saw this video online. You know, Sylvester Stallone lives in Palm Beach. And he went into a Publix and went shopping like a normal person. And he checked out and he didn't take the receipt. And there's this whole trend going on online that he was afraid to touch the receipt, that he was afraid the chemicals from the receipt would get into his body. It was very strange. But, man, I'd love to run into Stallone in Publix. Oh, my goodness. I'd be so excited to meet Sylvester. He just got the medal from President Trump. It'd be the perfect time to meet him, too, with my MAGA hat on, take a picture with Stallone. He used to be, the thing about Stallone, he used to be a Democrat. When Bill Clinton was president, Sylvester Stallone lived in Miami. And he had a big fundraiser at his mansion in Miami for President Clinton. And he gave President Clinton gloves from the original Rocky movie, which I couldn't believe. But no, I would love to have met him. But if you've seen this video of Stallone online, it's hilarious. And the people in the Publix are just like freaking out that Sylvester Stallone's in there. I know which Publix that is. It's not the one that Melania shops at by Mar-a-Lago. There's another one up the street. I know which one it is. I've been by there. It's not too far from Worth Avenue. All right, now listen, we're coming up on a break in a few minutes in the Gold Report, and if you're on hold, hang in there. Our number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're calling from. And I'm sorry, Steve and I have been jibber-jabbering and ignoring you guys on hold. You want to take another call or two before the Gold Report?
Sure, why not?
All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Joellen from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Joellen, what's on your mind?
You were talking about Ro Khanna earlier. I remember after Charlie Kirk died, a Democrat reached out to Benny Johnson, and he didn't say right away who it was, but then finally he had an interview with him, and Ro Khanna was on there, talking all this, acting like, it was to he was reaching out to come across the aisle. Democrats have to be. Stop all the rhetoric, but he's also talking about Republicans. So anyways, as he went on, he was spewing all this crap. I think Benny Johnson was really excited that somebody was coming across the aisle. But it really turns out, I think Benny Johnson realized that he was full of crap as well as what you're talking about.
You know what Ro Khanna, whatever his weird name is.
Oh, yeah.
You know what he is? He's a clout chaser. So he did that because Charlie Kirk was a popular thing at the time. So now this is popular. So he's on the bandwagon. I mean, he's a con man. He's a con man.
You could tell right away.
Yeah, he doesn't care about any of these people.
So I don't know if it went any further than that, or if he still, has those feelings. But no Democrats are coming across the aisle. That's for sure.
Democrats never come across
Some
the
of them.
aisle. Not really.
Fetterman. I would say Fetterman.
Fetterman is up for re-election, and Pennsylvania is Republican now, and he's sounding reasonable to try to get that union vote.
He sounded reasonable for a long time. Don't be unfair to him.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree with that. I think he's just pandering. I don't trust him. I want a Republican.
Well, yes, Republican, yes, but I think he has been common sense.
I don't know because senators
for a while.
See, senators, they got that 6-year run. So they get in, they don't worry too much. In the last couple years, they sound reasonable the last year or two before they got to run again. I don't trust Fetterman because Fetterman, you guys forget what Fetterman was like when he ran. He is nasty, nasty liberal.
Yeah, but
Yes, he
that's a while back.
4 or
That's a
5
while
years
back.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he
Well,
came
you
out
know,
when it was before it was popular.
Yeah, he's really withstood a lot of crap from his party. So, you know, maybe it's all fake. I don't know, but I take him at his word, really.
Never
I
trust
mean,
a Democrat.
I really think
Never trust a Democrat.
Yeah.
All right, listen, we got to run, Joel, and thanks,
Yeah.
thanks for the call. All right.
Okay.
Now I want to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas. There's somebody in my family. I don't want to say who yet because I don't know if they want the people to know that might be listening. But there's someone in my family who's just retiring, and they were getting their finances together and their income. And I was telling them about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities, how they can get an annuity and have that guaranteed income every month for the rest of their life. Joe Thomas calls it mailbox money. And when I told them about it, they're like, wow, that sounds amazing. So I'm going to set up a meeting with them and Joe Thomas. Jupiter Joe Thomas, he offers free consultations, which you can take advantage of in his office in Jupiter or over the phone or through Zoom. And he's really amazing. Listen to this. He has over 30 years of experience in retirement and financial planning. He's also a 5-time qualifying member of the $1 Million Roundtable, achieved by fewer than 1% of all financial advisors in the world. So he's a top man in the financial advisor industry, and he's offering you a free consultation. Take it. It's a very valuable consultation, and he'll put together a custom proposal just for you based on your situation and goals. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, go to his website, jupiterjoe.com. We'll be right back. All right, I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. We'll be right back.
Good morning.
Hey there. We have 1 minute. We'll be back.
Okay.
All right, so stand by. I'm going to keep you on. Hold on. I'm going to convert Steve. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes.
Okay, we got just less than a minute. I got William here conferenced in with us. Less than a minute. We'll be back.
Great. Hey, William.
Hey.
All right. Oh, boy. All right, it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how the metals look today?
Metals looking amazing today also, Brian. Yesterday's gains were amazing as we broke through all barriers and took gold all the way up to $4,597.70 the ounce, which was up $88 yesterday, $88.90. Silver gaining $5.30 yesterday, closing out at $85.14 the ounce.
Oh, my goodness.
Platinum up $86 at $2,346. Palladium up $38 at $1,840 the ounce. Overnight, we saw gold trade in the range of $4,573 on the low, all the way up to $4,620, I guess now. $4,618 gold right now, $4,618. That's up another $20.30. Silver up another $2.51 right now at $87.65 the ounce. Bank of America, I am told, came out with a statement that they said that they could see silver hitting $300 an ounce going forward in the future. Platinum up $39 right now at $23.85, and palladium up $30 at $1,870 the ounce. So here we are, gold $4,618, and silver closing in on $90 an ounce.
Well, I don't remember the exact number of silver. I remember, Steve, you and I, when we first met William Youngerman, buying silver for like $11 an ounce, something around there. You know,
I can't catch my breath. I can't believe these prices. It's unbelievable. What was platinum again? How much was platinum yesterday?
What was it?
Platinum. What's platinum at, William?
Platinum was $23.46 yesterday. It's $2,385 an ounce today.
Oh my goodness. Well, I was going to ask you, until that last part, I was going to ask you, when it comes to silver, do you recommend hold or sell? And I think we're on a buy recommendation on silver.
Yeah, silver is still, you've got to hold it. I mean, you just have to see where this goes. If you've had a position for a long time and you want to take a little profit off the table, there's nothing wrong with selling into a rising market like this. But nobody knows where this is going. But it looks like, and here's the key to this. This is just not a silver and gold scenario. Copper is over $6 now. Nickel has gone up. Zinc. All of the metals are rising into this also. So we aren't just seeing a gold and silver rally. We're seeing all earth metals making new highs in many cases.
Wow.
And this is significant going forward, as opposed to some individual commodity being touted and going higher. So for that reason, I'm still very bullish on all of the metals. And until something happens contrary to this, you got to buy and hold.
It's not
buy
like
any dips.
It's not like there's some big solar panel thing that drove silver up. All earth metals are up. That's amazing.
Yep.
We're living in the world you told us about years ago, and we're still climbing. Listen, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. And remember, no matter where you're located, even though he's in Boca, no matter where you're located, you can do all your transactions over the phone and through the mail. Okay, his address in Boca is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. You can give him a call toll-free, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010, and online, WilliamYoungerman.com. And remember, at William Youngerman's, all metals are available for immediate delivery. All right, William Youngerman. Oh, by the way, how's your inventory looking?
We're still well equipped with all of the precious metals. So
there you go, guys.
How long that's going to last, we'll see. But we have pretty much reserved all of our metals for our regular customers. If we were selling out to dealers, we'd be totally out of metals by now.
You hear that, guys? Everything's in stock. All right, William, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day.
Right, take care. I'm in shock that silver has broke $87 an ounce, Steve.
It's unbelievable.
Oh my goodness, I know. It's
unbelievable.
It's insane. I never thought it would go that high this soon. It just seemed like a few days. I was asking William, are we going to get $50 silver? It wasn't that long ago, right? I was asking that, and here we are. There's a lot of big things that are going on, and just
noticed, huh?
Yeah, I just want to go over some of them. Okay. President Trump said on Sunday that they're talking to Cuba. So Marco Rubio, it may not be him directly, but the State Department's talking to Cuba, that's under a major crisis right now because they're not getting any oil from Venezuela. We've got the Iranian situation, right, which is, Greenland. They're introducing a bill in the House for Greenland statehood. So, and so something's going on there. And if these liberals would read The Art of the Deal, they would understand everything that President Trump does. President Trump always pushes for much more than he wants, right? So if he needs $100, he'll ask for $500, and then when you concede and he gets $400, he's still got more than he wanted. So like this Greenland thing as an example, he's pushing out there. We're going to get Greenland. They're not going to be a state, but we're going to get Greenland. It's a done deal. And the statehood thing in the House and in the military force, he's amping things up. So then when he just says, okay, just give it to us, Denmark, and we'll buy it off of you. You'll get some of the profits for the next 50 years or whatever that you want. And it's going to happen, So we've got Cuba, Iran, Greenland, And then, of course, Minnesota and the city of Minneapolis are in open rebellion and insurrection against the federal government. I mean, what's going on in this country is these lunatics in Minnesota are playing right into our hand for the midterms. They're making such a big mistake because, you know, Scott Bassett, on this interview he did, I played this clip earlier in the show. He said Americans are the most generous people in the world, but if you come here and you steal from us, we don't like it. And this theft in Minnesota that's going on, the largest financial scandal in U.S. history, $19 billion, people are ticked about that. And, you know, and they're not going to get over it. And when you have these Democrats, the mayor, Ellison, and Tim Walz, say, how dare you investigate our theft? Who do you think you are?
And the other thing is, it's all been back-timed, we used to say. Back-timed perfectly so that it's going to end, you know, like when we make a commercial and you got to let it end on 60?
Yeah.
You know, this whole thing has been all worked out in advance time-wise. So it's playing out. These things aren't occurring in this sequence.
Correct.
And so close together by accident.
That's right.
So I guess everything is geared to go off on Election Day.
Or as we lead up to it. And that, by the way, that Election Day could be the primaries. We're going to have primaries before we know it.
Yes.
And we want to get
it is the primaries.
Yeah, and we want to get the right people to win the primaries. Because you can get the wrong people to win the primaries in your party, you know? So, yeah. But
that's their problem.
Oh, yeah. Hold on, Steve, for just a sec. You know, the thing about this election season, I know people like to say the party in power loses in the midterms. This is such a unique presidency that I don't think those rules apply, Steve. You know what I mean? We got a non-consecutive term, and we have these Democrats acting like idiots beyond their normal stupidity, right?
Have you seen any major national polls that are fairly recent?
None. And that tells me we're doing well. If we weren't doing well, there'd be polls everywhere. Now, I want to tell everybody that Coastal Weight Loss Secret, this is the year, guys, okay? This is the year you were going to keep your New Year's resolution and lose that weight, just like I did. Not only did I lose over 35 pounds, I've kept it off and have not gained an ounce. I'm wearing a shirt, Steve, right now, today. Before I lost all this weight, I had this shirt. It's a Star Wars shirt. This shirt fit me so tight it was like a girdle, okay, before Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Now it fits me like it's supposed to fit me. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Remember, with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, there's no pills, no injections, no surgery, no intense working out. You'll never feel hungry either. You can do it. I did it. You can do it. I lost the weight. I kept it off. Call for your no-charge consultation, 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300, and online, coastalweightlosssecret.com. All right, Steve, you with me?
I am.
Okay, we got some time. You want to take some calls?
Do it.
Okay, here we go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Morning, Steve and Brian. It's JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ.
Hey, JJ.
Hey, guys. Hey, Steve. You know, I was just going to mention Fetterman. This guy really gets my goat, so to speak. Democrats come across the aisle. It's a smokescreen. They come across the aisle for a little bit of credibility. They're basically the half-warm or the half-frozen snake.
Yep.
Whatever gets them to the bite or the meal. I mean, he's a reasonable guy in a collective of crazy, so he kind of stands out. But when it comes to something really important, this guy's going to be like Fetterman's going to be like a John McCain thumbs down vote.
I don't. He's been very consistent in his attitude since he did this turnaround, and I've followed him closely, and he just doesn't give.
But Steve,
and there's no inconsistency with him.
No, there is.
Give it to me.
Okay, he's consistent in his rhetoric on television, but he has a 99% voting record of voting with the Liberal Democrats. He doesn't vote with us.
Exactly.
He votes with them 99% of the time.
He's got you feeling good.
I find that hard to believe.
That's what he wants.
I find it hard to believe.
Good.
It's true.
Yeah, are you willing to bet 6 years on that good feeling?
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to.
I'm not. Fortunately, I'm not faced with that dilemma, but I would have no problem voting for him against some of the Some of the Republicans I've seen.
All right, listen, we're short on time, so I'm going to let you go. Thanks for the call. All right, take care. All right, let's go. We're lightning round. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian from Deerfield.
Hey, Brian.
Hi, Brian. Hi, Steve. The thing about President
we got
Trump
a lot of Brians.
Yes.
We sure do. It's a popular name. The thing about the President Trump, and they've never been able to deal with it, is that he moves so fast on multiple platforms, they just can't deal with it. They've never been able to deal with it. The Democratic Party can't even get all their ducks in a row to deal with one problem. And he hits them with so many different things, like especially now. He's domestic, he's international, it's military, it's financial, it's everything, political, and they just can't deal with it, and they don't have anybody on their side that can deal with it.
I got to run. We're running short on time.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna squeeze one more in, which I probably shouldn't do. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Once, twice. All right. You missed your chance. Well, we're out of time for today, but you know what? We'll be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. And you're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Don't forget, it's tax season. Call Jamie Levac at Swift Taxi, Steve Kane's accountant. I met with him yesterday, and he can handle your taxes no matter where you're located in the United States. 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. All right, Steve, I'll call you later. All right, take care. All right. Okay, if you're on hold, stand by. I want to take a call or two before we sign off for the day. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice. Yeah, I thought it was you. That's the same person from before. If you're on hold, hang in there. I want to talk about a couple things, and then I've been on the air for 3 hours and 29 minutes, so I'm not going to go too much longer, guys. But I want to tell you this about the midterm elections, and this is a very important thing. Have you noticed, you're not hearing all these pundits say the party in power loses the midterms lately, have you? And Steve asked a good question. Have you seen any national polls? I haven't seen any since last week. And the fact that these people on TV are not bragging that the party in power loses in the midterms, you know, just because we're not seeing the polls doesn't mean that they don't exist. And what's happening is the polls are telling them that everything that President Trump is doing is incredibly popular. And, oh, yeah, there you go. And I think they're gotten their mind around the fact that not only are we going to maintain power in the midterms, we got a good chance of gaining seats in both houses. I've seen a complete change with that rhetoric in the last few days. I hope I'm right. It's all on whether or not we have a massive voter turnout. If we swamp them at the polls, we're going to win everything. And by the way, we're not just going to win the House and the Senate and gain seats. We're going to win the governors. We're going to win the state houses. And there's a lot of other statewide offices too, and school boards and all of that. It all depends on our voter turnout. If we do what Susie Wiles said, and that is treat this like a presidential election year, we're going to win. And this whole year, I'm dedicating myself to that on this program. And I hope you'll join me along the way. Now, if you're new, please subscribe. And if you could also like the video, and if you're already subscribed and everything and you really want to help out, if you could take the link to the program and share it on your social media and invite your friends and followers to check out the show. That really helps the show grow, and I would very much appreciate it. I know a lot of you have been doing that, okay? And those of you that have been sharing the link to the program, thank you. Thank you so much for doing that. I have no marketing budget, so the word about this show gets out there through the word of mouth that you can help with posting the link on your social media. My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for joining.